Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest live stream. I hope everybody's having a good evening so far. We have not done an evening live stream in a long time, and this live stream could very easily be very long or it could be very short. It depends on what happens over the next few hours, as there will be a potential for a significant line of storms to develop closer to areas really in the proximity of Minneapolis over the next several hours. I'm going to kind of draw it out for you, kind of give you an idea what's going to be happening over the next few hours, and give you an idea of where the greatest tornado threat will be, where the damaging winds will be, where the hail's going to be, all of those threats, because we have a potential for all modes of severe weather tonight. Even though it is still a conditional risk, it is something that we need to monitor very closely, because if storms do explode, we could see a pretty volatile environment tonight with very significant damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes across parts of the Midwest. So let's give you an idea of what's happening now, then we'll kind of go into the future as people start to kind of join in here, and again, we'll give you an idea of what's happening for tonight. At the bare minimum, we'll be live here for an hour and just kind of wait for storms to fire up, because the main core of storms that's expected to fire up has not yet begun, but we are getting closer to sunset. The temperature is going to start to drop. The dew points and temperatures will start to get closer to each other. We should eventually see supercellular initiation near Minneapolis. That's at least the forecast, so that's what we're going to be talking about here in just a few minutes. But right now on the radar, we do currently have some storms that are back over in northern Minnesota, near the Black Duck area, just to the south of International Falls. So this is very far, extreme northern, really, Minnesota. Main concern across this area is going to be damaging winds. There could be some isolated large hail. I'm not ruling out a brief tornado out of one of these storms. This storm in particular right now that's moving down to the southeast does currently have a tornado possible label, and what we're watching for is an embedded tornado in this line of storm. So if we start to see something kind of hook up here, we could end up seeing an isolated tornado as this moves down to the southeast. Overall, the main concern though right now is going to be damaging winds as this tracks to the southeast over the next several minutes. Further up to the north, at actually a bit more of a more volatile environment in Canada is currently available. We actually have a large tornado warning for one of these storms that was happening up here earlier. That storm that is tornado warned is going to be back over here just to the east of Hudson. Overall, this activity, we're not really going to be talking about it unless something really significant happens up in Canada. Just want to point out that up there, we've actually had a couple of storms that have been very impressive looking on radar. We almost had a tornado drop near Hudson earlier, so that storm activity up there is definitely going to be capable of maybe an isolated tornado or two. Something that's not related to this event but is happening right now is that we actually have tennis ball sized hail falling southeast of Sturgis in South Dakota. This is a big storm right now. There's actually a pretty big CC drop just to the north of Somerset for the threat of very large hail. So if you're in this area, definitely make sure that you're staying away from windows. Again, this is in the proximity of Box Elder, Rapid City, and also near Sturgis. And we'll check out and see if there's any sort of live cams in this area. Sunset doesn't happen over in this area probably for about another 30 minutes to an hour, so we might have a view of something there, so we'll check that out in a moment. Further off to the north, a few more storms that have been firing off, mostly just off of outflow boundaries. The main concern here is going to be large hail, damaging winds, and then maybe some sort of isolated tornado risk. But I think over here, there's really just not enough wind shear, and these are all outflow driven storms, so I'm not expecting much of a tornado risk there. Now, really, the big talk is going to be the Midwest tonight, and I talked about this a few minutes ago. This area in particular is very conditional, but if storms do get going, we could be talking about the potential either for a large-scale MCS, which is a mesoscale convective system, or we could even see a derecho, or we might not see anything. It's really just kind of a, it's basically a flip of a coin right now what's going to happen tonight across the Midwest. So let's kind of break down what's going to be happening here over the next few hours and give you an idea of the different scenarios. So right now it's 8:49. This is 9 o'clock tonight. The HRRR model does show storms firing up around the Minneapolis area within the next like 30 minutes or so. This is still a question mark. We've had some towering clouds. Bottom right of your screen, Storm Runner Media is actually looking at that. There are some towering cumulus clouds, and we could end up seeing some storm development here pretty soon. But really what we're going to be watching for is by 11 to 12 o'clock tonight, this will start to organize more into a mesoscale convective system, which will start to prompt the potential for some really significant damaging winds, especially across northern Wisconsin right around midnight tonight. By about 2 a.m., this eventually organizes into a Boeing segment, leading to a more numerous to widespread damaging wind threat if storms get going, which again, it is still a big if. We are going to be monitoring this for the next hour or two, and if nothing gets going, we'll not be live. But if it does get going, which I think it will, we'll eventually start to see this organize more by 2 a.m. And by 3 to 4 o'clock, this moves right over the Great Lakes. It'll start to move into into Michigan, parts of eastern Wisconsin as well, where damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes will all be a possibility. I don't think this is a repeat of what we just saw a couple of days ago with the 4 large tornadoes in Wisconsin, but we are going to be talking about a different setup where more of a wind threat is going to be the greatest concern here. By 6 to 7 in the morning, which, yes, in the morning tomorrow, this line of storms will still be going. It's going to be going across central Michigan, where this will continue to produce some significant damaging winds from the Muskegon area back through Mount Pleasant and Lansing, and overall, this will not probably be as significant as it will be in Wisconsin, but we can at least expect some scattered to numerous damaging winds across Michigan in the morning hours, as long as this line of storms does continue. Eventually, by the late morning, more storms are expected to fire up anywhere from Iowa back into Michigan, where an active stretch of weather will continue. I don't expect this to be really significant when it comes to severe weather during the late morning. I think the main concern will be wind. We could see a brief tornado. We also could see some large hail, but the risk is much lower. I think our better shot for severe weather tomorrow in terms of the afternoon threat will probably start to pop up near 5-6 o'clock, right around Iowa and northern Illinois, where more hail, wind, and maybe an isolated tornado or two will be a possibility. So that's what we're looking at over the next several hours. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of stuff to break down here in the short term. This is the area of development that we're going to be watching for, and you'll notice there are some updrafts forming here. The biggest problem right now around Minneapolis is that there has been a cap in place, and as long as that cap is overcome, we will likely start to see some pretty robust storms develop really quickly, and this will eventually organize into a line of storms. But how long that takes and when it happens is just so uncertain. The computer models are showing that it's going to organize here relatively soon, but it might not. It might not organize very soon, or it could even organize faster than what it's showing. It's not really going to be an accurate representation, I think, of what's going to happen tonight. This can be a lot of nowcasting, I think, tonight overall for this particular severe weather event. We sometimes have these events where things do not happen the way computer models show that they're going to happen. It's a possibility that that happens tonight too, here around eastern Minnesota and eventually into Wisconsin. So we're going to keep a close eye on this, obviously, for the next several hours, and we'll be answering questions in between now and any storms firing up really in that area, because that is really going to be the main concern. We were originally planning on going live earlier, but the storms again have just continued to be delayed, so they're still very delayed right now. They're probably going to get going here soon, but we don't really know. You know, I'm just telling you what we know here at this point. The storms might get going soon if the cap's overcome, but, you know, today's temperature inversion, which when I'm talking about a cap, it's just a large temperature inversion in the low to mid levels that prevents storms from bubbling up. That's why we only have showers out there and not actual thunderstorms. The temperature inversion was pretty significant earlier today, and it was actually more significant than forecasted, which has kind of continued to delay this organizing area of storms that's expected to develop. So that's at least what we're looking at as of right now. But we do have storms out there. They're just not really that significant at this point. We do have some storms also, by the way, in southern Wisconsin. I know we had some people asking about this. This activity here, I'm not really concerned about right now. At least maybe an isolated wind and hail threat. Possibly a brief tornado. I was looking at this storm right here near the Palmyra area. Maybe some very weak rotation there. I mean, if it does produce a tornado, it's probably not going to be anything crazy like the other night, but there's a little bit of rotation there right now moving down to the southeast. This area in particular is going to be an area to watch for, mainly for the hail and wind threat, so just be weather aware if you're back over in those areas. Let me check the SVC outlook really quickly. They actually have a severe thunderstorm watch here. I was about to say, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Let me, the weather alerts have not been working on my, so we have an alert system that we use that's not a part of Radar Omega, and that system is entirely down right now. Let's see if this shows it. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect, I believe, for the Midwest, unless it's been canceled, but I highly doubt it. This is the severe thunderstorm watch that we're talking about right now. That's for Chicago and southern Wisconsin. If anybody can verify that this is ongoing, let me know. I'm pretty sure this is ongoing. It just doesn't show it on Radar Omega. It is ongoing. Yeah, so this is ongoing. There's just nothing showing up on here. This is for southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. A couple interesting notes here. The main concern is wind and hail with these storms. There is a low tornado risk. They even outline that there's a low chance for an EF2 plus tornado. I don't really feel like we're going to see that in this environment, but I really can't rule it out if we get something that's more discreet and organized. We did have an outflow boundary that was moving east to west, going in this direction, so maybe something happens with that and these storms interact with it. Let me go back to the weather alerts here. I'm trying to see if this watch will actually show up on here. I don't know. The National Weather Service API, which is kind of how you get warnings and stuff like that. It's from what I know, it's been down for the last few hours. So that might be why we don't have a watch actually on here. So I'm just letting you know there is actually a severe thunderstorm watch here. It just is not showing. By the way, this is Storm Runner Media right now. Left side of your screen, you can see those towering cumulus clouds. So that's the development that we're kind of awaiting. We're kind of waiting to see if any storms do get past the cap. That's going to be our first indication of there actually being something that could go severe here. So that's what we're waiting for right now. And by the way, a couple of little cool updates here. Obviously, you'll probably notice the you know, the overlay looks a little bit different. Well, we did some upgrades. We have made the weather radar much bigger at the bottom right of your screen now for all of these graphics. And also, whenever we have all other storm chasers, all we have to do is click one button, and we can go to Connor Croft, who does not have a live stream at all. he's removed the live stream entirely. But we can basically flip between multiple storm chasers now with one click of a button. Way easier, and it also changes the name. So we have upgraded the storm chasing, you know, setup here, at least for the foreseeable future. We're continuing to do more upgrades to the weather overlays, but just some nice little upgrades there. You can also see the cities much clearer, as you can see on the bottom right. You can actually see them probably.
Guys, I will end it. Oh, oops, I will end the stream. Unfortunately.
But it sounds like Stormer Media is going to end the stream until something fires. That's at least what I've heard from him. So we do also have PA Storm Trackers, I think, who's live. They are alive. We might even be able to pull them up. We do have a new Storm Chaser PA Storm Trackers. They are also in Minnesota. We're going to have a couple more coming up here soon, too. But we have more Storm Chasers that we're adding to our lineup. So that'll be another upgrade. Alright. Let me get to chat here, by the way. And guys, again, as a reminder, if you're just tuning in, again, it's a conditional severe weather risk tonight. If you want to go back a few minutes and listen to my whole spiel for like 10 minutes, I highly recommend it. We're going to be live throughout most of this event, as long as there is actually storms out there. So just letting you know ahead of time. There may or may not be a huge, you know, line of storms that develops tonight. It's very questionable still, but that's what we're here for, predominantly for that threat. Thank you, Bryce, RV, Marissa, Melissa, and Blackberry for all becoming members, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Peter, for the 199. No problem. Yeah, again, the concern right now is that storms could fire up near Minneapolis. It's very questionable right now, but if storms get going, they could be big. And they could be big hail, wind producers, and maybe even a tornado risk, but it's going to be highly conditional on that cap. I also want to mention, by the way, there's a flash flood warning here near Skyline, back over here in southern Minnesota. This is actually where there was a dam failure. So, actually, Brandon Kopic has been chasing that today, or he was earlier. I don't think he's live anymore, but he was actually chasing this. Pretty big dam failure there back over in southern Minnesota. So, you know, unfortunately, there's some pretty substantial flooding that's happening there right now. And yeah, very, very dangerous situation down over there. Hopefully everybody's staying safe in that area. It's definitely not what you want to see, but with how much rain has fallen in Minnesota for the last several weeks, it is, you know, pretty catastrophic, almost catastrophic situation that happened over there right along the river. So yeah, we do have a new mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. So this is, again, kind of what we've been alluding to for the last little while. Thunderstorms are likely to begin developing over the next few hours, consolidating into an organizing cluster of storms through 10 to 1 p.m. Or, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Severe hail and wind possible with the stronger storms. They are likely going to issue a severe thunderstorm watch. So they do think that there will be some sort of threat that's going to occur, which I still think we're going to get a line of storms, just a matter of when. So as of right now, the ETA for that to start will be around 10 p.m. But again, it could start earlier. Again, Storm Runner Media right now, they're looking at least some of these storms that are trying to get going. We at least have some updrafts building. So we'll see if anything actually gets going. Thank you, Chris, for the $5 super chat. You called the tornado here in Janesville before the warning? No problem. Yeah, we were pretty ahead on all those storms, actually. We try to, at least. We always try to be ahead of the curve on, you know, warnings and stuff as much as we can. That's one of the biggest parts of these live streams. I mean, sometimes you don't always get that sort of early notice. So that earlier notice can definitely make a difference. Thank you, Kim, also for becoming a 1-month member. Thank you, Sam, for the 5 get to members. If you got to get to membership, make sure to thank Sam. Appreciate that. For Northern Illinois, I think the threat will be tomorrow morning, honestly. Like, I low-key think tomorrow is going to be more... It's going to be more of a threat tomorrow morning comparatively to tonight. And I know the SPC Outlook tonight includes your area. Let's go back to live radar here. I'll show you the severe weather outlook for tonight. So this is the day 1 outlook for tonight. So again, there's an enhanced risk, obviously, and that's what's also in dark shading on the thumbnail. So that goes from Minneapolis all the way back into areas in Wisconsin and even into northern Illinois. Again, this could very easily be more of a wind threat further to the north. It's still uncertain, but we're expecting a Boeing segment that's eventually going to start to push down here to the south and southeast across parts of Wisconsin, western Michigan and northern Illinois. It's a big question mark, again, whether this actually all forms and gets going. We think it's going to. At least I think we're going to see a line of storms tonight, which is why we're live. If it wasn't expected, then I wouldn't be live. But I do think it's going to develop within the next hour. The main concern, again, across the board is going to be damaging winds. That's the main concern. We could see damaging winds as high as 80 to 90 miles per hour out of the strongest segments of storms. So you need to make sure you're protecting loose lawn items, hatching down trampolines, all that sort of stuff. If you have a weather radio, make sure that's ready to go. And if you don't have a weather radio, I highly recommend Midland Weather Radios. You can pick one up. This is one of theirs that you can get on their website. The link is in the description. You can also get 10% off with the link and the code down below. Highly recommend one, by the way, especially for the Midwest, because honestly, the Midwest after today, too, looks very active. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of severe weather in the Midwest for the next week or two, with a very active weather pattern, the jet stream very far up to the north. So I would expect this weather pattern to stay very active for the Midwest. Aside from all that, though, for tonight, the main concern will be wind. A lot of this will be overnight. If this does continue to be more geared towards an overnight threat, we will probably be live all the way until 2 to 3 a.m. at least. That's the thinking, at least right now. We could be live until 2 to 3 a.m. Tonight if this does get going. If it kind of just stays weak and doesn't really do much, we might not be live that long, but we're gonna have to wait and see how everything kind of organizes. But we are starting to see more of these updrafts forming here on the north and west side of Minneapolis. So we're just kind of awaiting this development. We're kind of waiting to see, will these storms get going? And if they do, we'll probably end up seeing a more significant wind threat here soon. But again, we're still waiting on that. And then back over in southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, there are storms there right now producing mostly just gusty winds and small hail. There could be an isolated tornado threat out of this, but I think the main concern will be just wind and hail. That little area of rotation that I alluded to earlier, that has already kind of fizzled. So there's really nothing here right now. It's just wind at this point. I don't really think we'll get a tornado out of this activity that's down here. There is some good news to this activity too. This could actually legitimately stabilize the atmosphere here for very late tonight with that secondary line of storms that would eventually come through this area. So hopefully that's what this does, because really all this is right now is just a lot of rain, some lightning, and all that sort of stuff. It's really nothing severe there, at least for right now. Thank you, Heather, for the $100 super chat. You are crazy. Kansas City would be more of a threat for tomorrow, not tonight. Let me check that out real quick. Put some hearts in the chat for Heather. Appreciate the generosity. Kansas City, maybe like overnight tomorrow night, but like I wouldn't expect much. Just isolated hail and wind, probably. That's about it. Thank you, Michael, for the $4.99. Also, by the way, thank you, Heather, for the $40 Venmo before we went live. I appreciate it. Apparently, I'm going to get some DoorDashed Wawa if I do end up staying live for very long, so I do appreciate that. How's it going, Cooper? Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, Michael, for the $4.99. Thank you, Jay, for the $2 super chat. Is the enhanced risk for the larger storms later? Yeah, that's what it's for. I mean, the storms that we're seeing now, they are not really related to that threat. Those storms that actually developed prematurely. So the ones that are happening over there in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois right now, they're not really going to be, doing much. But if they organize, we could see some more severe weather out of that. I don't really see those being that significant, honestly.
Yeah, there's a little road up here. Okay, good.
Wow. So an area that we're really not covering this area today, but I guess we might have to. There is currently baseball-sized hail now falling southeast of Sturgis in South Dakota near Rapid City. That is kind of crazy. These storms have been a menace here over the last hour. I mean, this storm in particular north of Rapid City, this thing's just exploded, producing baseball-sized hail currently. If you are in this area, make sure that you're at least staying away from windows. That is quite crazy. I'm trying to see if we have any live shots of this. I'm just curious to see if we have any sort of like view of this storm, we might. There's a few cameras along this area. I'm curious to see if we have any areas where there's a lot of hail on the ground, too. That'd be interesting. That's a destructive storm right now, moving to the northeast. This right here. That's where the baseball-sized hail is, moving northeast. It's going into pretty rural areas. I mean, Rapid City's really the only area here that's actually, you know, at least somewhat populated. Everything else around it is pretty rural. But with that said, I mean, there are definitely some, probably at least some farmland out here somewhere. I'm not seeing anything clearly right now. I mean, this is one little shot that I can show you, but it's not really showing much. It's very wet. I mean, that's something. It's very wet here on I-90. Can't really see it, though. I'm just trying to see if we have any sort of shot of it. Can't really see the actual storm. Oh? Maybe? I can't tell if this is a storm. This is looking north. Oh, this is the northern storm. So there's actually a storm north. This is an elevated storm over here. Back over near Sturgis. That's the elevated storm back up to the north. That's the hailstorm that we're looking at up here. I believe. Because that other camera's near Sturgis looking northbound. So that was that. Ooh. It's another one. Maybe. One moment. It is very dark right now in this area. You know, obviously sun's setting pretty soon, but look at this right here. Very top of your screen. Back over near Sturgis. It's actually a kind of a, not really a wall cloud, but just kind of raggedy clouds here. A little bit of scud activity here. Back over near Union Center, South Dakota. And again, this is where there's baseball-sized hail. I'm pretty sure we're looking at that storm here. I sound bored. I'm not bored. I'm looking at my other monitor. I'm trying to find cameras. I'm definitely not bored. I can never be bored being live. The only way I can be bored is if we have nothing to talk about, which that's pretty hard to have happen. I can talk literally nonstop for 24 hours. It's pretty easy for me to do that. We got a little raggedy storm base, at least. In case you can't really see it, I don't know if you guys can really see it well. That's a bit more of a zoomed in photo, so you can kind of see it a little bit better there. Is that a giant crack in the road? Kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Kind of looks like it. Okay. I don't know if we're gonna be able to find anything else, but yeah, this thing is producing some big hail. It's going over pretty much, I think, I don't know about this area, I don't know if it's just farmland, but there is definitely a CC drop on this, which would indicate some pretty large hail right now, just to the north of Box Elder. So, that's all, again, all outflow during storm activity, so all this storm activity, probably not gonna produce a tornado. We might get something brief, but I don't think we will. There's a little bit of spin here. Like right there, there's just a little bit of spin there on the leading edge of the thunderstorm. So I wouldn't rule it out because it's right along the outflow boundary. Everything else back here to the southeast, though, just looks like wind to me. So now let's go back to Minneapolis. Let's check it out. The latest update. We do actually have a little bit more organized updraft activity now just to the east of Litchfield. So that might be something to watch. We got some little tiny showers popping up on radar. If we start seeing some red and pink, that's when we know we're probably going to have that cap overcome here in Minnesota. And again, that's what we're waiting for. We're just kind of waiting to see if these storms are able to overcome that cap here in the next hour, which again, I think they will. But that's really the first signs that we actually have something growing here. So, southwest of Buffalo. Oh, thank you, Wild Child, for the 19.99. Appreciate the generosity. Thank you to, I think I already mentioned that, but maybe I missed it. Also, thank you, Dan, for the $2 super chat. Yeah, hopefully the line isn't that bad. Again, tonight could be a big deal. It might not be. It's very questionable. Again, and this is going to be a very big nowcasting sort of night when it comes to storm activity. And apparently this little storm back over here west of Gordon just decided to get going. So that little storm right there near Dairyland is attempting to get going here. This is our first signs of at least something developing. I mean, it's not really where we would be expecting storms to develop, but Something's trying to fire there, and there you go. Now you have a severe thunderstorm warning. So $half size tail, 60-mile-per-hour winds on this storm back over near Gordon and Wascott in northwestern Wisconsin. So now we have our first signs of at least some level of initiation. This is not in the area where we're really trying to look for that. By the way, thank you, Sherry, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. Or upgrading memberships. You think this will hit Milwaukee hard? It's hard to tell, but I would be at least prepared for wind. That's really the biggest concern, I think, anywhere in Wisconsin tonight. We could still see a few tornadoes embedded in the line, which, again, you can't really rule out a strong tornado tonight either. It's possible with this type of setup if everything goes as forecasted, at least if it's not conditional and it actually happens. Like, that's all possible. But I would be really mostly prepared right now for wind. Make sure that you protect loose line items, you know, do all that sort of stuff. Make sure you protect vehicles too. It's another big thing. We do have another storm chaser that we might use. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're kind of awaiting trends right now. We're just kind of waiting for storms to fire up right now. We have a PA storm trackers, another storm chaser that we might pull up here depending on how things go. But they're just kind of waiting for storms to fire up like we are too. So kind of all in the same waiting game right now. Storming in Chicago. Yeah, there's some storms down there. Again, nothing severe right now. All this is down here right now is just wind, and that's just gusty winds, lightning, small hail. I mean, maybe some cheese curds flying out of the sky. I don't know. There's really not much happening here right now. It's just ordinary storm activity. Thank you, Dustin, for the $4.99. Dustin, that would be, so when clouds are moving faster in the low levels compared to the upper levels, that just means the low level winds are faster. I mean, it has more to do with wind and steering too. There's a couple factors there, but a lot of it has to do with wind. Sometimes it's an illusion too. I mean, sometimes, let me look at a sounding there. We do have a weather sounding that just came out, I think, a little while ago. Weather sounding, just let me look. I might be able to actually look at the atmosphere here. Could also just be an illusion, but let me look. This is the Minnesota sounding. Okay, so this is the latest weather sounding out of Minnesota. Again, if you're new to weather soundings, you might have no clue what I'm looking at right now. But really, just kind of look at the low levels and through the mid levels. I mean, low levels, we have 40 knots of wind. I mean, I don't know where the exact... The clouds would probably be right about here. These are probably the low-level clouds that you're talking about. So right here, you got about 35 knots of wind right here. That's coming out of the southwest. And then, depending on where you see those other clouds, which I'm guessing is probably about here, that's about 40 knots. So I think, actually, those are moving a bit faster. There's a little pocket, though, where the winds are kind of the same, or actually a little bit lower, around 30 knots. But if you take a video and send it to me, I'll look. 40 knots is not 20 miles per hour. 40 knots to miles per hour. I don't know the exact conversion, but it's not that. 40 knots is 45 miles per hour. It's like a 1.1 times multiple, I think, or something like that. On knots. And then, obviously, the jet stream always has really strong winds. In a typical day, winds will be weaker at the surface and stronger aloft. That's how it almost always goes. So, it's typically how things go. When's it projected at Madison, Wisconsin? Well, if you see the second line of storms, it won't be until well after sunset. I mean, we're talking probably like very early tomorrow morning. So the second line of storms for Madison wouldn't be until legitimately like 2, 3, 4 a.m. And again, we might be live up until that point if these storms are concerning. So it's just going to kind of depend on how things trend over the next couple hours. Because, I mean, I have no plans tonight. Tomorrow, we're probably going to be live, but it's not till later in the day anyway for tomorrow's threat. So, like, we're just going to kind of monitor trends here over the next few hours. And we could very easily be live very late tonight. But again, as a reminder, I kind of already said this. Today's threat is not the same as what we just had a couple days ago where we had the 4 large tornadoes. With that said, we are talking about a different setup. That's really the biggest difference here. It's not going to be, you know, we're at least not forecasting a bunch of large tornadoes tonight. But what I do think will happen is that we're going to be seeing numerous to even at times widespread damaging winds if that line of storms fires. And that will be mostly a wind threat, but there could also be a few tornadoes, and a strong tornado cannot be ruled out. Even though it's a low threat, it's not 0. So make sure that you're prepared for that severe weather risk. Again, it's not the same setup. That's really the biggest difference tonight. We had more of a discrete with we really had a discrete and linear setup. We had a round of storms that was more discrete or even semi-discrete with a linear line of storms back out to the west, which was very different from today's setup because that was, again, just a line of storms that was moving this direction. We eventually had discrete supercells that were moving into Wisconsin, eventually merging with that line. A little bit different. Tonight is mostly just going to be straight up linear. This storm over here that's south of Parkland, this one's a little bit more of a surprise tonight, but as I mentioned, computer models I don't think are really picking up very well on how this thing's all gonna really unravel. So, John, have you noticed any stuttering? Just curious. I don't think we've had any stuttering ever since I removed it. We actually have some more updrafts forming here near Interstate 35, by the way, so it's starting to try to get going right now. We'll see. It's beginning to ramp up just a little bit. Let's see if we have any sort of view of this. That's what it looks like right now in Minnesota, by the way. This is back over on I-95, or I-35? I-35. So just a kind of a mid-low deck of clouds here. Mid to low layer deck of clouds. And a truck stop. Trying to see if we have any view of an updraft here. Actually, a pretty cool view. Let's go back to here. Let's go back to Storm Chaser. Let's go to this.
Wind's died off a little
This is
bit.
actually a pretty cool view here.
It's cooled off.
This is PA. There might be actually too loud. Let me turn that down. I don't know how loud they are. This is PA Storm Trackers, one of our new chasers that I'll be using here for a little while. And again, actually a pretty nice sunset there. A nice little pink tinge to the clouds. Pretty cool looking shot there. By the way, let me know if the audio is too loud or too quiet. I'm gonna have to adjust this. We have control of all these audios now, so we can adjust them and probably keep them the way they are for a while. By the way, thank you, Kevin, for the $20 super chat. Appreciate the generosity. Thank you, Max, for the $5 super chat. I did not have Culver's today, by the way. I had Culver's the night before, just before we had those tornadoes.
We're just north of Roberts right now. Robert, Minnesota, looking to the
in Wisconsin the other day.
And
I didn't have Culver's in like 3 weeks before that, so it's a curse. We know that.
I believe, so we can keep an eye on it.
Right there, you have mixing with your warm air rising up, your colder sinking down. What's up? No, I'm saying right there. See where? So you have your gap.
Let me know if the audio is too quiet or too loud in the chat on PA Storm Trackers.
That's how you get those little perturbations.
Do I have a link to them in the description? I gotta figure that
Spin you
out.
guys around here for just a quick second here. We'll show you what
Link them,
Landon's
buddy.
talking
Oops,
about.
did not link them. Let me add that.
We'll let Landon kind of explain what we're seeing.
So our atmosphere is starting to kind of mix right now. It's a good thing. We're finally starting to kind of get that cap eroded. And you can also see that we're developing those wave clouds.
All right.
Two different, very different
quiet?
air masses starting to mix there.
So yeah, we're north of Roberts,
Hey, Marissa, for the
Wisconsin.
$25 Venmo, extra
Don't forget
Wawa funds for
Wisconsin,
tonight. I appreciate that.
Wisconsin.
Thank you.
We're chasing Minnesota all day.
Might have to get a
today.
Wawa.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn you back.
Actually, had
around.
some. Look at the horizontal
That's
roll
what
clouds
was
right
behind
there. I don't know
us,
if they're
but
going to look at that again. There's actually
I'm liking
horizontal
that
roll clouds
sunset.
right there.
Look at that.
It's actually kind of cool.
Get you right there.
That's good. Okay.
Let's see what she's doing.
All right, we're gonna go back to here for now. Thank you, Carl, for becoming a Velocity member, and welcome to the Velocities. Boycotting Culvers until the tornado season's over. I don't blame you, honestly. I don't know what's going on, but like every time we have Culvers, it like the next day or the day of, we have tornadoes. It's one of the weirdest things. I mean, it's like literally, it's consistent. It's weird. It is very, very strange that we've had this, you know, apparent issue here for a while. It's very, very weird. I don't know if it's just superstition, but low key, it's happened like every single time. By the way, we do have a little bit of rotation right now, south of Cabe Tomgama. You're in northern Minnesota. What, Paka on the feed? Yeah, we do. We have two. We don't have any other virtual rail fans anywhere in the area of storms. We have a couple in Illinois, but I don't know if they're really in the area of this. We have a little bit of rotation up here. That's going to be going towards Crane Lake. There is a tornado possible label on this, so just something to watch for. But we really do actually have some storms getting going now near I-35, so there is now development. Does it matter who eats the cheese curds? I mean, if I eat them, it's over. It's literally me. It's not you guys. All right. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. We're just kind of waiting that line of storms to develop, which should be probably relatively soon. I'm guessing they're going to issue a watch here soon as well. This warning, by the way, over in South Dakota has been downgraded to 2-inch sized hail. So this is a bit of a lower threat. Again, this has really been the worst of the storm activity thus far today. Granted, we are still waiting storms to develop, so waiting for this area to start to fire off here in eastern Minnesota. Now, the cap, I think the cap is going to be overcome here pretty shortly. We are starting to see some reds, and again, that is an indication that the updrafts are starting to tower a bit more. So I do think we are starting to get some more initiation. We'll see how intense this gets and how fast it really intensifies. And this is kind of just, this is the satellite imagery for the last couple hours. Just for reference, obviously the sun's setting, but this is a massive complex of storms. The cap kept this area from storm development, which I know Ryan Scholl, I don't know if he's watching, but I know Ryan Scholl is in this area, and he got a cap bust over there, which is not really shocking because, you know, cap is just everywhere in Minnesota today. But back over here in Minneapolis, you can see all these towering cumulus clouds here. That is an indication, again, of updrafts developing. The thing with this is that really none of these have actually towered past, you know, the cap. None of them have gone past the cap. It looks like we're probably going to start seeing that, though, here soon north of Minneapolis. And again, this is expected to become more of a threat during, you know, the next few hours and into the overnight hours. And so this initiation is looking, you know, more in the direction of this line of storms getting going here pretty soon. Wow. There were a lot of tornadoes confirmed in the other day. Let me see. What's the I might have a bookmark. Let me check. I got it. Okay. There were a ton of tornadoes confirmed in Wisconsin the other day. Oh, there you go. All right. So we have a storm now blowing up entirely here near North Branch. So that's getting going. So we now do actually have a storm blowing up here. Oh. Brandon Kopic says he's going to bed. I do not blame you. This chasing terrain is, for nighttime too, is not worth it. I mean, this is just going to be a full-blown linear, like, 40-plus mile-per-hour moving line of storms. That's just not worth it. Hope your vacation was great, by the way. I was following along. I saw you honking in the tunnel there, and I don't know where that was. Was that Paris? Here are a few of the tornadoes confirmed from the other night. They're going to be kind of hard to see. We had a couple just east of Madison. By the way, these were the ones that we called out on radar. The ratings right now are EF1, so that's at least good news. We had a huge debris drop on that storm north of Old Deerfield. Like, this thing was a huge debris signature, and it's actually, as of right now, a preliminary EF1. The other one west of Watertown, which we also were covering, that one we saw on radar too. It was also another EF1. Maximum sustained winds on both of these were both 105 miles per hour, so nothing really different there. The one northeast of Cuba City was an EF0. I don't think this one we confirmed by radar, but we did confirm this one, which was an EF2, which 135 mile per hour winds on that one north of Woodford. Was this the Argyle one? I don't see Argyle on here, but I'm pretty sure that was the Argyle storm. Southwest of Pottsville. Or Postville. The one south of Janesville was an EF2. Look at that left-hand turn, by the way, on this tornado. You can't really see it, but I'll kind of draw a line. This thing really took a sharp left-hand. It kind of took a pretty, like, dynamic kind of left-moving tornado almost. It was kind of going to the left up here, just southeast of Janesville is where it ended. And it clued it out. We end up seeing on a live cam right along Highway 11, which, again, I'm just kind of referring to what we saw the other day. We end up seeing a huge surge of wind. That was probably the RFD surge and not actually the tornado. So kind of just a little interesting feature there that we saw. That was more of just the RFD surge. But this was confirmed an EF2 tornado with sustained winds right around 135 miles per hour. And then here's the twin tornadoes that we had, which we also saw on radar. We almost saw all of these on radar, which is kind of crazy. We saw this one on radar too. We had this tornado that began near Delavon, and then the other one that began back over southwest of Lake Geneva. So we had really, I mean, I don't usually compliment myself, but I think we actually had really good callouts on all the tornadoes the other day. Because like everything that we have on this map, we saw happen. Even this one, I think Connor was chasing this one. Actually, I think that was the one that we saw. Yeah. That's crazy. Every one of these tornadoes that have been confirmed, at least on here, we actually were able to spot on radar, or we had storm chaser footage of it, which is actually insane. Yeah, every one of those tornadoes, that's crazy. It's pretty crazy. And I don't compliment, I really never compliment myself, but like that was, I would say at least 9.5 out of 10 coverage. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate that. Just got back to the States. Today had so much potential. Yeah, today had a lot of potential. The tornado parameter values, everything. I mean, the photographs are crazy in southwestern Minnesota, but the cap literally just way too strong. I mean, there was like, I honestly thought there was no chance that we had storms this afternoon. It would have to have happened with, you know, some sort of cloud cover just being completely removed in an area. That never happened. Thank you, Julie, for becoming a member. Thank you, Oscar, for becoming a member. And also thank you, Jimbo, for all becoming members. And welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Cyclonic, for the $5 super chat. Out of all the tornado events you've covered this year, which was the worst? I've got to say our emergency coverage of the Claremore, Oklahoma tornado, the 2-mile wide northwestern Arkansas tornado, which that was actually 2 miles wide. I think it was an EF3, if I'm not mistaken, back over west of wherever the Walmart headquarters is. There was a tornado there that was like 2 miles wide. Apparently the widest tornado in Arkansas history. That happened. That was probably the worst one. It also hit the Valley View, Texas tornado. I would have to say that was the worst one that we've covered this year. Out of, you know, all the events that we've covered. I would have to say that's the worst one. Bentonville, yeah, Bentonville. There you go. Decatur, Arkansas, EF3. So.
I think this happened over there.
I was looking at
Yeah.
that.
What?
My dad sent me an airport
Okay.
up near northern New Richmond.
This might be the most interesting thing.
Yeah,
We're going to go
we're
back to it in
gonna
a
be
second.
able
This is the most interesting thing. Back over near Chicago. Just have like a training cluster of storms right along the lake near Chicago. None of it's severe. It's just kind of training along here. It's all moving northwest to southeast right now, for the most part. Sounds like PA storm trackers, they're going to move a little bit north, by the way. So they're on the roll here. They actually have a pretty good view. It looks like a storm developing. Let's go back to them. Right there in the middle. My go-to Culver's order? Oh goodness, I don't know. Can't even think of it off the top of my head. I would have to say Butterburger, probably. I'd have to go like a butter burger with cheese curds and a medium Diet Coke. That's probably the way to go. Or the chicken tenders, one of the two. I've got to say though, Wawa chicken tenders, low-key slap. Like, those are fire. We don't have any tornado possible labels anymore. We're just back to normal severe warnings for the time being. Get some Freddy's. I don't even know what Freddy's is. I think I've seen it, but I don't think it's. I think it's a northern thing. Large Diet Coke. I don't need that much soda. I'm fine. How does Indianapolis look tomorrow and Wednesday? Probably going to be more of a wind and hail threat tomorrow. Wednesday, I don't think you're going to really have much. You tell Brandon about tracking him flying. Oh yeah, I don't know if, Brandon, if you're still here, were you on Radar Omega Tracker? And were you on your airplane? Was that you the other day? I don't know if he's still here, but if he's still here, I would love to know. I actually forgot about that. Brandon Kopic, he's on Radar Omega. He's actually still on here. Like he was, pretty sure he was flying in on Radar Omega on an airplane. Like his tracker was moving so fast. I'll have to, if he's not here, I'll have to ask him after the stream's over. Thank you, Aiden, for the $2 super chat. What is Wawa and where can I find one? I'm not a Wawa salesperson. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a southern thing. So. You, Sky, from coming a 1 month VIP Velocity member. I appreciate that a lot. Columbia Heights, Minnesota, a concern right now? I mean, there's really no areas of imminent concern. We're waiting for this to develop. I mean, that's what is going to be our indication of what's going to be concerning in the next hour. This lineup here is really the greatest concern in Minnesota right now, and even then it's just some, widely scattered damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. There isn't a whole lot more than that here. So that's all we're looking at up here right now. It's a pretty fast-moving line of storms moving southeast at approximately 40 miles per hour, so it's a little bit on the faster side of things. By the way, there is a severe thunderstorm watch from what I know. I don't think it's been canceled. I'm pretty sure there's still a watch here. Yeah, there's still a watch here across parts of southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. This is the watch that is currently in place. The main concern, again, being damaging winds, large hail, and maybe a isolated tornado. I don't think this threat is that concerning right now. We'll continue to watch it closely. I just want to remind you that our the National Weather Service API, I'm pretty sure, is down. So we don't have any sort of update on those watches, I don't think, on here. I'll have to double check and see. I don't think any of these are showing it. Or it's just a, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's just a API issue. Because so we have an API system now that shows us our warnings and what warnings are out there, what threats there are, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to see if I can get back into the system now, but it's been down for quite some time now. So let me see if I can get back in. Let's see. It shows all the warnings and stuff. Do other weather apps show the watch? Or is it... It might also just be... I don't know. Yeah, I think the API system's still down. I just tried logging in and it's still broken. We can see the watch on weather.gov, but I don't think it's... I'm pretty sure it's just... Again, it's not going to be related to the warnings that get issued. I think it just has to do with the watches more than anything. There's something broken with the watches right now. It's been down for a few hours, though. Have you used those balls for hail size comparison yet? Oh, actually, I should. We got $50 sized hail right now here. I don't know if we have an actual $50. I know we have $1. Oh, yeah, we do. So this is the size of a $50 right here. So that's what's falling right now, going towards Drummond and Cable. Somebody fan mailed us a softball, a baseball, a legitimate apple to indicate hailstone sizes. Got a tennis ball. Got a bag of peas. We got a golf ball. We got a ping pong ball. And out of all things, we also have a DVD. So the next time that we have DVD-sized hail, we have a DVD. So I can't remember the name of whoever fan mailed this to me. Who was it again? The only thing that we're missing here is cheese curds. Earl, So thank you, Earl, for fan mailing this stuff. I mean, we'll use it whenever I remember. The problem is I'm gonna have to remember it. It's in my drawer. I can easily get it, but basketball? Yeah, if we got a basketball, that would be a whole different story. Man, basketball. Yes, basketball-sized hail. Absolutely. Some of you guys don't even know what a DVD is. I'm just gonna let you know. I know what it is. I mean, I kind of grew up with it for like 2 years, and then it went away. Many of you that are under 18 probably have no clue what a DVD is. Thank you, Brian, for the $4.99. Wawa is based in Philly? Really? I didn't even know that. I purchased a t-shirt 1 month ago and I still haven't received it. Email me. That should not happen. All of our merch should get shipped out like within a day or two. So if that happened, either email me or message me on Twitter. Or not, yeah, Twitter. Message me on Twitter or Discord or email me, because you should not have to have that issue. That's not normal. Thank you, Namo me, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. All right, we're gonna get. I'm gonna try to put on PA Storm Trackers on the bottom right. Give me 1 second. I didn't have this set up. This is like the one thing I did not set up. I gotta set this up real quick. It'll take like 2 seconds. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. They're in Minnesota, so we have a Storm Chaser with us. All right. Thank you, by the way, Naomi, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. You see my post on Twitter about my shed being blown over 2 days ago? I did not, no. I'm curious, though. It looks like the storm zone that they're looking at right now, looks like they're actually kind of blowing up there. They got a little bit of lightning, so we'll keep a close eye on them. Am I tired? No. Guys, I don't wake up usually until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm not tired. I don't usually, I mean, recently I've not been going to bed until like 4 or 5. So, yeah. It's quite the time right now. I couldn't even tell you. It's been a crazy year. Our video schedule, everything is so different from last year. Like we upload videos now in the very early morning, because we go live so often now in the afternoon. Like we just don't have any ability to actually put out a video in the afternoon unless you just want it to overlap with a live stream. So it's definitely a complicated sort of stretch right now of what's going on. But it's very messed up from all the severe weather this year. Like last year, most times we'd be able to upload a video in the afternoon without any problems. But this year it's just been so different. We've had severe weather literally every day, which we usually do have severe weather every day. Like, don't get me wrong. But, like, this year's just been on a whole nother level. Been much more significant this year than last year. I don't think there's really any debating that. By the way, tomorrow's risk for severe weather we will probably be live for as well. This goes from the Ohio Valley back into the Central Plains. The main concern here will be wind, hail, and maybe, just maybe, a couple of tornadoes. Tomorrow does not look super significant yet, but that could change depending on what happens tonight. And then, by the way, Wednesday we'll probably end up getting another slight risk down here somewhere, but right now it's just another large, marginal, and slight across the East Coast, Northeast, back into the Ohio Valley. We might be live then too. And we might be live Thursday for the Midwest, or Friday, one of the two. So, gonna be interesting. Pretty active stretch of weather right now. Look at the middle of your screen right there. This is the storm over here in Minnesota. The sun's setting, so it's gonna be hard to see here pretty soon. But there's like a pretty solid storm, or at least a very solid cloud base right there.
We might not be making it the whole way down to Iowa. Maybe not. We might have to sleep and then get up in the morning early.
Thank you, Aesthetic, for the $5 super chat. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's just like an API issue.
Yeah, we're going 65.
Looks ominous. Well, it's gonna look ominous with it being like, almost an hour after sunset now. Who's the chaser? It is PA Storm Trackers. First time that we have them on board. We have a couple more coming too, but that is still for the future. Again, if you're just tuning in, wondering what's happening, again, we're just waiting for storms to get going. Again, that's what we're waiting for right now. We're waiting for storms to get going. We'll be here for as long as needed, as long as storms actually do get going. If they don't, by the time it's 11 o'clock, which, again, they're already getting going, so I think things are getting going now. So we'll probably be live until 2 a.m. if things really actually organize here. But if for whatever reason these storms just don't, for some reason, get going, we'll not be live that long. But we'll see. They have issued a severe thunderstorm watch. So, again, this might not pop up on Radar Omega, but this is ongoing across eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin until 4 a.m. tonight. So again, this is a long threat. Until 4 a.m. tonight from Minneapolis and St. Cloud back into the Eau Claire area of Wisconsin and back near Duluth. The main concern, again, is going to be large hail damaging winds, and also a couple of tornadoes are going to be possible. Let me read their exact wording here on that. All right, so this again goes until 4 a.m. tomorrow morning, so very late threat. Main concern again is going to be scattered damaging winds, upwards of 75 miles per hour. Large to potentially very large hail, up to 2.5 inches in diameter is possible. And then a tornado or two will be possible. That is the latest on this new severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect again for parts of eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. This is what they're basically saying is going to happen. Thunderstorms are expected to continue to increase in coverage and intensity this evening and overnight. Initial supercells will be capable of producing large to very large hail, up to 2.5 inches in diameter. So that's really what we're going to be waiting for out of this activity here, where the greatest hail risk will be. If we get some storms in this area as well, we could also see that. So if you're Minneapolis, make sure you're protecting your vehicle just in case some sort of big hailstorms fire off there. A Boeing cluster may eventually develop and pose more of a severe wind threat, with damaging winds potentially up to 65 to 75 miles per hour. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes higher than that. It's just going to depend on the evolution of these storms, as this is really in a favorable spot for there to be a mesoscale convective system. With the jet stream kind of pointing down to the southeast, it's just it's an ordinary sort of MCS sort of setup here. But yeah, that's the latest here from the Storm Prediction Center on tonight's threat. Again, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and we will be keeping you posted with the latest with severe weather coverage, probably for the next several hours. If things do not look super significant by like 11 or 12, we might not be live, but we will be live if things start to look significant, because we're just kind of waiting to see how this all organizes. If it all organizes into this one large Boeing segment pretty quickly, I think we'll be live probably all the way until 2 or 3 a.m., possibly later, just kind of depends on how things go. We're ready to be live for as long as needed. I'm not really concerned about that, because I don't have anything happening tomorrow anyways, so yeah. All right. Thank you, Mike, for the $20 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. No problem at all. Thank you, DVG, also for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. It's gonna be hard to see, but I'm gonna go to
That's the
little
whole
light show
storm
here.
coming at us.
This is a storm back over here in Minnesota. This is from PA Storm Trackers.
Here's location update. We're just north of New Richmond.
Got a little bit of lightning there in the middle.
Wisconsin right now, watching the storm come through.
I don't know what storm they're looking at. I didn't hear what they said, but I'm pretty sure it's the one that's north of St. Paul. Bottom right of your screen, near North Branch. A bit of a hail core developing on that. This will probably go severe in a moment. Gotta see though, I can't draw it on your screen, but you can see how the if you look at like the left side of your screen, you see that opening. You go kind of just to the right of that where it's all dark. That is where the storm is developing. That's where the updraft is. Same thing with the right side. So you can just kind of see how that like expands out like this. That's the storm itself. You can kind of see the lightning there in the middle. Actually pretty pretty.
I can't aim up anymore. They will not let me. Nope. That's all you can get. I'm sorry. It's aimed up as high as it'll go. I don't know if that top one will go up anymore. No.
Oh, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah. They want me to aim it up more, and I can't. I'll break it. I'll break the tripod.
Let's get some new sheesh emojis in the chat. We have new members only sheesh emojis.
Well, that's the thing. It
Probably
stands
the dumbest
straight
thing,
up, so I
but-
won't be able to unless I.
You can't lower these a little bit?
I'm up to stream at 2 a.m. if it's needed. I mean, we could be live for the next several hours if we have
A
to.
little bit on the back. That's what I usually do when
If
I'm
things don't look that significant, we don't have to be live.
There we
But if
go.
things look significant, we'll be live. We went live a little bit early, but I kind of scheduled the live stream too early to begin with. That was
There
really
we
the
go.
main-
How's that
main
for you
mistake
guys?
there.
That a little bit better? And it showed me a trick. Thanks, Landon.
You're welcome.
It's gonna be a little harder to watch the chat, but I'm trying to do it for you guys.
Media updated too.
Max, do we get new chasers? We do. We have PA storm trackers, or one of the new ones. By the way, a link to all of our storm chasers is in the description. We will have probably a couple more being added soon. Those aren't the only ones. We're just kind of adding on to the catalog, basically. Because I don't think Connor's going to be live tonight. Brandon's obviously not going to be live tonight. He said that in the chat. He's going to bed. You got, yeah, Connor, you got Stormrunner Media. I don't think they're going live either again. So I don't think there's going to be many people that are live storm chasing, just purely due to the fact this is, one, not a great environment to storm chase in, and two, it's just going to be a big mesoscale convective system. It's going to be hard to chase that with how fast it's going to be going. By the way, the storms here in Chicago, not looking really concerning right now. Again, mostly just some gusty winds offshore. Maybe a little bit of lightning. There's really not much here right now. There is a severe thunderstorm watch, but I'm not super concerned about this. Storms near Evansville and southwestern parts of Wisconsin, just south of Madison. These could eventually become something, so this will be something to watch for as these move down here to the southeast towards Rockford. But I wouldn't be super concerned yet, but this could turn into eventual hail and wind risk. And again, maybe a brief tornado, but I'm not expecting much of that here. We're still looking at maybe a little bit of development near Wisconsin Rapids. Just some more kind of crap vection here. It's not really going to do anything. It's just probably going to be showers. Maybe an elevated thunderstorm there. Back over here north of Minneapolis, again, is really where the concern is starting to bubble up a bit more. We are starting to see some more, these storms are overcoming the cap. This is the big question today. Will the storms overcome the cap? These so far are doing that. So near the North Branch area and Franconia here in eastern and northeastern or eastern really parts of Minnesota. These storms are now overcoming the cap. They are starting to produce at least some small hail, but as these organize, a better shot for hail and wind will exist, and then maybe even a potential for a tornado, which again, that tornado risk in this area is going to be lower. It'll increase more as that mesoscale convective system moves to the southeast across parts of Wisconsin and then eventually into northern Illinois. We have the line of storms also in northern Minnesota as well. This is mostly going to be a wind threat. Can't rule out an isolated tornado, but I think the threat there is going to be low on that side of things. This is the Canada radar site, which doesn't really show much rotation here. There might be like a little bit, but I don't really see anything. It looks more like a wind concern right now, moving to the southeast. So this is really just going to be continuing for the next few hours. Then we have this little rogue cell that happened up here in northwestern Wisconsin, mostly hail and wind. It might evolve into something as well, but right now it's just uncertain. We're kind of waiting to see how this all kind of clusters together. The computer models do show a pretty large scale, line of storms developing here in the next couple hours, but as I mentioned before, the computer models, they've been kind of hit or miss with today's event. They've shown some things that are way different than what's shown now, so it's more of a nowcasting sort of event, I think, tonight here. Across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, predominantly those three states under the risk for tonight. It's the weather for Iowa tomorrow. I mean, we'll probably have some storms fire up in the afternoon. That's the main time to watch for, afternoon and early evening. It should be mostly hail and wind, but tonight's threat will highly, trigger what's going to happen tomorrow, because tonight's threat is going to really be a big factor in what happens tomorrow and what even happens on Wednesday. If this line of storms moves across parts of Illinois and even parts of eastern Iowa tonight, we're probably going to see a lesser severe weather event tomorrow. If we don't have a whole lot of convection here overnight tonight to tomorrow morning, and it's pretty clear, we could end up seeing a more significant event. But again, it's going to depend really on tonight. And so tomorrow's threat right now is a slight risk. That could get upgraded to enhanced depending on what happens tonight. Tonight is going to have a big play on what happens tomorrow. So, yeah. Any risk for Madison? Again, all modes of severe weather possible. Doesn't matter really where you are in Wisconsin or northern Illinois tonight, or even in Minnesota. All modes of severe weather are on the table. And it's going to be mostly an overnight threat by the looks of it, but we could have some storms here during the late evening that could get going and maybe produce some significant severe weather. And also, obviously, the title says derecho possible. It is possible. It just depends on if this line of storms, gets going and organized here in a short fashion here. At the bare minimum, we are talking about a large-scale, mesoscale convective system that's going to develop. That's at least what I think will happen. It's going to be producing some, scattered to numerous damaging winds. So, that's the main concern.
He's getting closer. That's why it's
Do I cover
so big.
earthquakes? No.
Wow.
Nice little light show on this storm here in the North Branch
Yeah,
area of Minnesota.
Link right now, actually. Where we go?
I would say southern Wisconsin is very 50-50. I'd say it's very 50-50. By the way, thank you, Harrison, for picking up a Max Velocity baseball cap on shopmaxvelocity.net. Appreciate that. Madison, Wisconsin. Appreciate you tuning in. Glad I can help.
Oh, they put out a watch.
Until we get another warning, we'll
4
probably
a.m.
just sit here for a
Central
moment.
Time. Scattered gusts to 75 miles per hour. Scattered large hail and ice wind, very large hail events of 2.5 inches in diameter.
By the way, I do highly recommend, if you have any questions about like Michigan and other states like that, go back to the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the stream. I talk all about those areas, like a full detailed breakdown at the very beginning of the stream.
I know.
It's probably a
isn't
few
it
minutes
crazy?
in, but I do talk a lot about it.
It's insane how big she's getting.
Friendly reminder, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, like the stream. It does help get this out to more people. If you do want to support the page above and beyond, you can become a member. Links at the top of the description, pinned in the chat, and it's also the join button down below. You might be doing a members-only cooking stream at some point in the future, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be a disaster, but it seems like a lot of members want that, so that might be in the works when the weather's a bit quieter. I'm a disaster chef, so no problem, Lexa. Green Bay, Wisconsin.
This storm we're looking at still back in Minnesota.
I've never
We're
been to
standing
Wisconsin,
at
believe it or
New
not.
Richmond,
I've never been.
Wisconsin right now watching this.
I don't think I've ever been to Illinois either. Well, maybe go live. We went live a bit early, but mostly just an update stream, and also if things get going. That's what we're kind of waiting on right now. We're just kind of waiting to see if storms actually get going here. Originally, I thought that this might be a bit... I thought it would get going a little bit sooner than this, but right now it's not getting going too fast. It's taking its time. But it's definitely starting to get a little bit more interesting. I mean, we do have actual storms out there now. We didn't have anything when we started the stream. We just had some, small updrafts basically developing. Favorite NFL team? I am a New England Patriots fan. Thank you, Heather, for the 10 gifted members. I appreciate that. If you got a gifted membership, make sure to thank Heather in the chat. Put smarts in the chat for Heather as well. The storm, by the way, I thought might get a warning, but the hail core that briefly develops near North Branch, that is already starting to kind of just get mixed into the rain. There is some hail with this storm, but unless this does have a warning and I just don't see it, which is very possible. Let me just double check. Let me make sure the weather alerts are on, because that actually looks like it should have a warning. Let me double check. The API for the National Weather Service today, at least for the last few hours, has been down, so I don't know if that's just because of that. I don't see it on my other app, though. So there's no warning on this. There is definitely some hail here. No special weather statement either. But honestly, that's a pretty decent looking hail core. At least has some small hail falling. Maybe not large, but at least small hail. The bare minimum. If you're wondering what kind of size hail we're talking, probably cheese curd sized hail or pea-sized hail. You tornado for the 1 month member. Again, it's kind of 50-50 right now for Northern Illinois tonight. It might be more of a morning threat, honestly. Like, it might be around sunset tomorrow when you actually see storms. I talked about the timing, though, a bit, a few minutes ago. So I do or not a few minutes ago, but back, like, at the beginning of the stream. So I do recommend you at least checking that out first. If you're wondering more about timing. We do have the HRRR model run as of a few minutes ago. We have the 0Z or 01Z model run. Let's see if it shows anything different. I'll quickly glance through this. So, show storms getting going here. Like now, these are already kind of starting to fire off. Organizes into a line overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning moves into Michigan. Mostly a wind threat. Moves across parts of Indiana, Illinois. Again, mostly a wind threat. Hail, maybe an isolated tornado. Check out the wind gusts on here. I don't know. Tonight is just so 50-50 on this being something super significant. I mean, even the HRRR model run, like, the peak winds it shows is maybe up to 80 miles per hour in parts of Wisconsin. And tomorrow morning, it also shows some big segments developing across, like, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Tornado parameter values, and this can give you an indication of the tornado risk. I mean, they don't even look that high tonight. Like, I don't know. I don't really think. I don't like downplaying things, but I really just don't know if this tornado risk would even get going in this environment tonight. Which the tornado parameter values aren't the only thing you should look at. You can look at hodographs too, which the hodographs have a pretty decent. I mean, they have really good amount of spin throughout the atmosphere. With the linear setup of this, it would be more of a QLCS-based tornado risk. Be contingent on a line of storms. And then tomorrow afternoon, it looks like we might get a little tornado window. Let's go back to this. To be honest, tomorrow also looks mostly like wind. Hey, you, Connery, or Canary for becoming a member and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Sense, for becoming a member and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Zorro, for the $20 super chat. Here's $20 for your Illinois ticket. We got Corn Sweet Baby. What? What's that even mean? Thank you, Chris, for the $5 super chat. It's your Atlantic hurricane season forecast. I mean, I think it's getting active. I don't really have a forecast for it. I just think it's going to be an active season. I think we're going to have at least a few major hurricanes and many normal hurricanes as well. I think this season will be one of the most active of all time, just with how warm the ocean waters are. It's a very primed environment. Shear should not be a huge problem either as we get closer to the peak of the season. Still got some crazy lightning on the bottom right of your screen from PA Storm Trackers. They're looking, I'm pretty sure, at this storm here near Interstate 35, which has been getting going, just nothing really organizing quite yet. I go on vacation in Florida in 2 weeks. Hope for no hurricanes. I don't think we're going to get any anytime soon. I think it'll be quiet at least for the next 10 days, but even after that, I think it should be staying relatively quiet. How do I become a member? It's the join button down below. It's also the top link in the description below. You ever do a teaching stream for members? I mean, I can teach you something right now if you really want. I mean, we're not really talking about much yet. We're just waiting for storms to get going. So if you have anything that you want to learn, let me know. I can probably teach you something here. Do some educational content while we're waiting, as this storm is yet to become severe. But storms are definitely getting going. I mean, we got plenty of storms out here now, but nothing organized quite yet. Most organized storm activities up in northwestern Wisconsin. Have I ever streamed a storm that's going to hit me? I have one time. I was under a tornado warning one time during stream. By the way, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're actually getting really close to 300,000 subscribers. So make sure to hit the red button down below and subscribe. We're at 293 right now. Where do storm babies come from? Excuse me? What? I don't think that's weather. This chat is going way too fast. I asked if we want some educational content. This is way too fast. What is RFD? RFD is rear flank downdraft. That's the winds that come from inside the storm, basically. It's basically the surge of wind. So if we have like a supercell that looks like, let me color a little supercell here real quick. All right, this looks like a really horrendous supercell. Let's try to do this. I cannot draw for the life of me. I'm really bad at drawing, but we're gonna make this into a supercell right here. All right. So this right here, this is your supercell. All right, we're gonna teach you a couple things. First thing, we have our inflow. All right, that's gonna be the inflow. That's gonna be what helps to rotate the storm. That's gonna kind of get spinning up. Got your hook echo right here. Your rear flank downdraft is what's coming in from inside the storm, kind of bowing out like that. That's gonna be your rear flank downdraft. A lot of the time when you see storm chasers inside of an actual supercell, let's say like right here, they're typically getting hit by the rear flank downdraft. That's what that is. All right, your hail core is usually up in here somewhere. So that's a couple different things labeled on here. This does not look like a supercell for what it's worth, but it's not a bad drawing. I could probably use the history feature on Radar Omega and actually go back and show you something, but I think that just might take too long. Thank you, Kyle, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. Looks like a shrimp. I mean, I guess so. I'm going to talk about the adiabatic lapse rate. There are so many, the lapse rates in weather, there's so many of them. You got the dry adiabatic lapse rate, you got the, there's so, like, I had a whole class on lapse rates, thermodynamic meteorology, and lapse rates in soundings, like, I didn't know how many there were until I took that class, which this is over a year ago now, but, like, there are an insane amount of different lapse rates that you have to know about, when it comes to looking at it, like the atmosphere. Like, you have the moist, adiabatic lapse rate, you got the dry one. There's just so many, and they are important for a lot of things, mainly for, like, hail and stuff like that, like how fast the temperature decreases as you go throughout the atmosphere. Like, that's what that is. And the lapse rates can be extremely tricky to plot on an actual SKU-T. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at, because a SKU-T is what I showed you earlier with the Minnesota sounding. Like, a weather sounding is a SKU-T, so yeah, it's interesting. I gotta say, be prepared to draw if you're going into a meteorology degree, because I have actually drawn quite a bit. Might shock you, but you actually do quite a bit of drawing. I have maps that I actually probably could show you. I just don't know where they are, of me drawing on maps for certain things. I don't know where they are. And by the way, Connor, for picking up a max velocity magnet. Appreciate the support. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. On shopmaxvelocity.net. Am I still in school? I am. I got 1 year left of broadcast or meteor. I'm not going to be minoring in broadcast meteorology, but I am still majoring in just general meteorology. I was going to minor in broadcast, but at this point, I just kind of, it's just gonna be too much work. Like, as in, like, there would just be too many more classes that I have to take that I can't really fit into my schedule. Thank you, Dustin, for the 199. Explain the cap. The cap is the temperature inversion in the atmosphere. Let me show you the Minnesota sounding from earlier. So this is the cap. This isn't a fantastic example, but it's enough of an example. So this right here is the cap. This is your temperature line. So the temperature is supposed to decrease as we go up in the atmosphere. Right here, it's decreasing. All right, so this part right here, this is all decreasing. All of a sudden, the temperature said, hey, I want to increase. So that's increasing. So that right there is a temperature inversion. Now, notice where the lifting condensation level is. It's right here. It's about right there. Clouds and storms are going to try to bubble up. The problem here is that as they bubble up, they're going to be stopped by that cap that's in place. So any clouds that bubble up, they're just going to be stopped by that temperature inversion. It's like a lid on the atmosphere, essentially. If the temperature is able to either cool down in the low levels, or it's able to warm up at the surface, that would basically be able to overcome the cap. Another problem with today's setup as well is the moisture here in the lower levels. This is another issue. Moisture kind of in between here, at least in Minneapolis as of a few hours ago, which this isn't now, but it was a few hours ago. Actually, a pretty good spatial difference here between the temperature and the dew point, meaning that there's at least a humidity difference there in that level. Really, the areas that you can expect clouds in would be like right here and right here. If the dew point temperature were a bit closer together, you would actually have more of an organized storm development here. And that's also contingent on the cap also being overcome. So yeah, and you can also see the veering profile right here, the winds kind of turning, and that turning effect is what really gets tornadoes going, is when we have winds that are turning like this west to a southwesterly flow in the low levels, and then at the surface they're almost coming out of the southeast, coming out of the southeast. So that turning effect that we have in the atmosphere can also help to produce tornadoes. But again, today's environment, I just don't think is going to be capable of that unless we get some sort of QLCS tornado threat, which would be probably the only way that we actually have that organized. I'm good at drawing. That's fantastic. I took art classes, and I legitimately suck at drawing. I wish I had my maps, because I could also show you how bad I was at drawing maps in meteorology classes over the last, I did a class, it was synoptic meteorology back this past semester. I drew a bunch of, maps and stuff. They're just horrendous looking. Like, I don't even know how my professor even could read what I put on there. QLCS is quasi-linear convective system. It's just a fancy word for a line of storms producing embedded tornadoes in the line. Thank you, Smoke, for becoming a minimum velocity member, and welcome to the Velocities. Map reveal? I would show you, but I don't know where they are. That's the problem. So we built the computer here, and once we built the new computer for weather streaming and all that, everything got moved around. So I don't know where anything is anymore. How do you spell that? Quasi? Oh, goodness. You guys want me to spell? We're not going back to Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, but quasi. That is a horrendous S. That's quasi linear. Okay. There you go. That's the first part. Convective. And then system, as in system. I feel like I'm actually teaching a class right now. We're live with 7,500 people, and we are teaching. That's what this live stream has turned into. Thank you, Jason, for the $10 super chat. Thank you, Christine, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. Oh, wait, was there a message on that? Jason asked, what's a mesocyclone? It's just a rotating supercell. That's basically all it is. And usually when we were talking about a storm, like a mesocyclone, for example, usually that storm is going to be at least with a storm base that you can usually visually see that's somewhere in the between, a couple miles all the way up closer to 8 or 10 miles in diameter. That's usually how wide those types of storms are. They usually have a circular base like this too. If this was a storm on radar, that would be what we're looking at. Thank you, Jojo, for the $4.99. Can you check the Twin Cities area? Yeah, we've been talking about that for a little bit. There's nothing really happening here yet. I mean, the storms have gotten going. And this is what we were wondering about. Would these storms actually get going? They have. These storms have all gotten going now, and we actually have storms out there that are producing at least some small hail, gusty winds, and lightning. Bottom right of your screen, PA Storm Trackers, they've been looking at lightning for a while now. Which this storm right now would probably be my greatest concern. We have a little something developing now over Minneapolis, but this is probably all going to start to merge in just one line of storms here eventually. That's at least what I think is going to happen, but we could get something out of this, because that storm there, that's riding, looks like right along an outflow boundary. That could do something. Wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado risk with that maybe down the road. Not imminent, but something to watch for. It's in a position where it's kind of a right-hand moving storm. Those ones do produce more of a tornado risk usually. I mean, if you're in southern Wisconsin, you can go to bed whenever you want. I don't think you have any issues right now with weather, at least for the time being. I think once we go later into the overnight hours, that's when you should be at least staying a little bit weather aware. At least have a weather radio and all that sort of stuff. Just be prepared, because there will be a chance for, you know, at least some storm activity overnight into early tomorrow morning. But that's still ways away. I would say you probably won't see storms, though, for a while. This is a live shot, by the way, in southern Wisconsin. There's a little storm here, just south of Madison. It's going to be crossing to Illinois soon. These storms didn't really improve since the last time we looked at them. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of lightning right now. But a few strikes of lightning here and there. Just some showers now. These looked a little bit more organized before. Actually have a few storms in northwest Indiana, too. Which, again, these ones, not the ones that we are concerned about. They have really no big threat other than just lightning, rain, and maybe some gusty winds. Hey, Jack, for the $4.99. In the Great Lakes, strengthen storms. A lot of the time, the Great Lakes weaken storms. Just depends on the environment and how warm the lakes are. Because if the lakes, I don't know how warm the lakes are right now, but if they're like the 40s or 50s and storms are moving into the lakes, they're going to usually weaken. So I think if this line of storms does get going tonight, which it's right now trying to organize, this will move over eventually the Great Lakes here. And it'll also push down to the south through Wisconsin. It should weaken quite a bit as this moves east into, you know, western parts of Michigan. Because the lake kind of acts as if it's something that'll stabilize the atmosphere a little bit. Upper 50s. Yeah, so upper 50s, I mean, it won't weaken it entirely. Like, back in the spring, it would entirely, or like early spring, because the water was just so cold comparatively to the actual temperature in the atmosphere. But now that we're in the, you know, the spin of things now into the summer, upper 50s will not weaken a line of storms entirely, but it will definitely weaken it to some extent. It will not be as much, because I mean, you can still have severe weather with temperatures in the upper 50s. Somebody asked me on Twitter, what's the name of Saturday, Sunday, and Monday? Saturday is Scary Storms Saturday. Sunday is Suspicious Storms Sunday. And then Monday is Mesoscale Madness Monday. Which today is Mesoscale Madness Monday. And we might be seeing a mesoscale convective system. All right. Hey, you, little games for the $5 super chat. Why is it that discrete supercells produce the most powerful tornadoes compared to QLCS? I mean, QLCS is just a large line embedded. Like, if we're looking at a QLCS, this is what it's going to kind of look like. It's going to be like a elongated line of storms. And you can still get strong tornadoes with a elongated line of storms. Like, you get these little inflow notches. Those are the ones that produce tornadoes. But the problem with, you know, QLCS a lot of the time, and any line of storm in general, typically it's sharing energy amongst an entire line of storms. Think of it as if you were the Cookie Monster, okay? Would you rather like to eat 10 cookies, meaning 10 different storms? Or would you like to just eat one? Well, Cookie Monster is going to want to eat 10. So, this is a horrible analogy, but, you know, basically what I'm saying is that... I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm trying to make this, like, more simplistic than it... That metaphor is tough. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But basically what I'm saying is that the Cookie Monster wants to eat 10 cookies, alright? Those storms are going to be sharing each other. Alright, I've lost it. I don't know where we're going with that. Let's just say that... I don't even know. Num num. Yes, num num. Fantastic. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you where I was going with that one. I've said that analogy before, but that one just did not come out right. Lost the plot? Yeah, it's over. Hey, you, Rick, for the $1.99. I don't even know what that means, but I appreciate it. Florida won the cup? Oh, they actually clutched? I kind of want the Oilers to win. One giant cookie compared to 10 small cookies. That's actually a better analogy. I think I've actually said that analogy before too, like that actual analogy. When you think about it, one supercell, I mean, if you're like, this is a better analogy. All right, we're gonna do a different one. Let's say you have a entire pizza, okay? That's 14 inches, that's an entire pizza. Cheese pizza, whatever you want it to be. Would you rather have that entire pizza to yourself or share it amongst 10 people? That is the same thing as if a discrete supercell, you know, a discrete supercell being you, that's it. And then the other 10 people being the QLCS line of storms. That's the difference there. There's a better analogy. You're welcome. That was just horrendous. Oh man. Am I on a diet? I don't know. I'm not on a diet. I need to get on a diet. My food habits over the last like 3 months have been so horrendous. Mostly because of the weather. This is the latest NATOcast tornado outlook for tomorrow. So not today, but tomorrow. They pretty much have the area where I kind of think the tornado threat will be, back over in parts of Iowa and western Illinois. This is going to be more of an afternoon risk for what it's worth. It's not really a today risk, so... Evan just said, would you rather... Okay, this is another analogy. For the same sort of topic we're just talking about. Would you rather fight one guy or 10? There you go. That's a bit more of a dramatic one, but, you know. That analogy that I was going with, though, that's just horrendous. But tomorrow's tornado risk, as I was mentioning, it's a low risk, but it's mainly going to be across parts of Iowa and Illinois. That'll be more of an afternoon risk. Thank you, John, for the $5 super chat. I'll be driving north to Madison from Rockford, Illinois tomorrow. I was wondering what the weather would be. I mean, I don't know what time you're driving. That's the problem. Oh, tomorrow morning. Duh, look at the message. The main concern will be, let's go to the future radar and I'll kind of give you an idea here. Who's my favorite TV meteorologist? Harvey Leonard. I think he comes in once in a while now, but he's at WCVB in Boston. I don't think he's really full-time though. He's not full-time anymore. He already retired, but he comes in like for the bigger events. Well, Madison, Wisconsin, where were you coming from? I don't usually do these types of forecasts. Oh, Rockford. It's going to depend on if this line of storms pushes through southern Wisconsin. If it does, then... And I don't know if it will. I kind of am leaning towards southern Wisconsin won't get much tonight because of all the convection that we've been seeing over the last few hours, because it's going to stabilize the atmosphere quite a bit. But if for some reason this line of storms does come through southern Wisconsin tonight, it will be out there tomorrow morning. This is 10 a.m. The HRRR model at least showing storms in northern Illinois, but it does not show anything really for the most part during the morning near Rockford or even near Madison. It's going to be contingent on that line of storms that's going to move through north to south overnight tonight. If it can go through this part of Wisconsin, then it's going to be kind of ugly tomorrow morning with a wind threat and lots of rain. But if for whatever reason this stays more towards Michigan and doesn't really affect parts of southern Wisconsin, I would expect more of a wind threat in Michigan and again, maybe an isolated tornado. But I think the threat over there in Michigan will be a little bit lower tomorrow morning when it comes to the tornado risk. And honestly, tonight, I've been saying it, but I don't really think we're going to see much in terms of tornadoes. It does not really feel like a tornado day to me. I'm going based off my feelings, but you know... I mean, I went based off my feelings the other day when we had the 4 large tornadoes in Wisconsin, and I kind of thought to myself before we went live, I was like, I feel like today's gonna be a big day. Today, I think it will be a big night at least, or big overnight, more for wind though, and not tornadoes. And I think it's mostly probably gonna be across northern and central Wisconsin, and maybe eastern Minnesota, just depends on what happens here soon, and then back over into Michigan very early tomorrow morning. Thank you, Ben. Oh, I already answered that, never mind. Guys, I did not eat Culver's. That's another reason. So I did not eat Culver's, so I don't think today's going to be that big when it comes to tornadoes. There's a possibility for a derecho, but I'm kind of losing any sort of confidence that that'll actually happen. It was a possibility going into tonight, but again, it's going to depend on what happens over the next hour and how this organizes. If it kind of looks like this in an hour, I highly doubt it. But if it becomes more, you know, clustered together or more linear, and more bowed out, like a bit more of a Boeing segment, we could very easily see a derecho overnight tonight. But to be honest, I just don't feel like we're going to. It's a low chance. It's not high by any means, and it wasn't high at all going into today. It's just a highly conditional sort of threat. Look at that, we got a train going by. Live train intercept in Wapaka, Wisconsin. But yeah, we're going to give this probably another 45 minutes to an hour. If things don't look super concerning by then I don't know if we'll have to really be live. We might do an emergency live stream overnight, because I'll probably still be awake until 4 a.m. tonight anyways. So we'll just kind of see how things evolve, though, over the next 45 minutes. And again, if we need to, we can go live overnight. Where's Connor? Connor's not going to go live for this. There's just no way. I don't think Connor or Stormrunner Media are going live for this. This is just, it's not a good storm chasing event. Today could have been a big day, but the cap was the problem. We had a super primed environment for large tornadoes and huge hail and significant winds across southern Minnesota today, but the cap saved everybody. And this was not talked about a whole lot. I talked about it this morning in today's video. The tornado parameter values off the charts, very curved photographs, just a very primed environment for that sort of threat. But the cap was a big problem, so we didn't really see anything down here. And again, I wasn't expecting anything. I didn't really mention that sort of, wording. I was just letting you know that was actually a possibility. Tons of instability, too. It was just crazy environment earlier today. Crazy, I tell you. We had instability values near 6,000 joules per kilogram. That's how crazy it was. Cap is the real homie today. I have to agree. Have to agree. Thank you, Sky, for the $5 super chat. Members only live stream Hot Ones style? What's Hot Ones? Isn't that where you eat like the hot wings or something? I'm not eating hot food on a members only live stream. I'm going above and beyond to do a members only cooking stream. That is already taking a leap of faith, because I cannot cook. I have made grilled cheeses before, and they've come out burnt almost every time. Thank you, Dan, for the $2 super chat. Try fries with ranch. I'm not a really big ranch fan, to be honest. I would pay to see that. You're already a member, so you're already paying to see that. I'm not doing a Hot Wings live stream. There's no way. Fun fact that this is, we're just talking about stories right now because there's nothing significant yet. But back when I lived in Texas, this was when I was, I don't know, it was about 6 or 7 years ago. I've never had a jalapeno in my life up until that point. At a restaurant, my dad's like, I'll give you $1 if you eat a whole jalapeno. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that hard. I eat it. My mouth was on fire for like 30 minutes. And no joke, I like literally regretted that. Like that was the, I would have had to have at least $100 to do that again. Like that was just the most absurd experience I've ever had. I would never do that again for $1. Never. $1. Yeah, that's what he offered me. He gave me $1. I'm like, okay, really? Like, I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. But like, yeah, that was not worth it. I don't even remember if he gave me $1. I can't even remember. He might not even given it to me. I don't really remember that, but I don't remember that part. But yeah, that was something else. Thank you, Sky, for the $2 super chat. I'm not doing a Hot Ones live stream. Thank you, Derek, for the $2 super chat. Or already read that. Minneapolis update. Not really anything to update you on right now. Right now, it looks like the majority of the storm's off to your north. Time being, it looks like the main concern would be right now for Wisconsin. I mean, let's just see what the latest guidance is on the HRRR. The latest HRRR model run doesn't have anything near Minneapolis, so this conditional risk for Minneapolis looks like it's not going to happen. Not a guarantee yet, but I would say if nothing happens in the next half hour, I think you guys are fine. This might be more of a threat, really, just for northern Wisconsin and Michigan. That's what it's looking like right now, at least. Thank you, Tammy, for the $20 super chat. Appreciate the generosity. Sent you a light show video of the sky in St. Crow Falls, Wisconsin on Messenger. I don't think I can show messenger videos because they don't like actually load in on this. I'll check it out though. On my thingy-mabobber here. I hope these won't be very bad. I hope so too. I really am leaning towards this just being mostly a wind threat, and I don't have a whole lot of confidence that we're going to see that many tornadoes tonight. Even though it is a threat, I don't really see it happening, personally. I think there will be at least 1 or 2 tornadoes overnight. I just think it's going to be very spotty. I'll eat a ghost pepper for $50. Why would you do that for that little? I've never even had one, but I just know the pain and suffering that comes out of that. Wow, it's actually a lot of lightning. It's a cool video, Tammy. Thank you, Sky, for the $4.99. In the first round, what are you throwing? Rock, paper, scissors? Is that what this live stream's come to? We're playing rock, paper, scissors? I would have to go with scissors, honestly. One Cookie Monster emote? I'm not doing a Cookie Monster emote. If somebody did clip that, at me on Twitter. I'm curious to see that. I've got to be honest with you, this might be one of our most useless live coverages that we might ever have if nothing happens. It's trending that direction right now. We've been talking about just random stuff for the last 40 minutes. There's not been really anything yet that's that significant. It's just a lot of storms, but nothing organizing quite yet. We definitely went live way too early for this. Thank you, Adeline, for the $1.99. I would expect more of just a wind threat down there, hail, maybe an isolated brief tornado. And really all of Illinois is in the same risk tomorrow. It's mostly wind and hail. Thank you, Alpha, for the $9.99. Would you do jalapeno for $10? Absolutely not. No, not after that experience. No. Can we see the bats? Let me check. So for those that are new to the channel, many of you might be, we do look at bats sometimes, and they actually appear on radar. So this green stuff in Texas is not rain. It is bats. You can see them explode right here. That yellow is the bat. This is all bat ring right here. We actually had a couple of different takeoffs of these bats, which is interesting. Let's go back to the beginning of this. Look at this. We got one ring of bats that takes off here. We actually got a second one that developed right there. So we actually had 2 different bat takeoffs here across parts of southwest Texas near Uvalde. We also had another one back near Rock Springs. So kind of cool. Now, conspiracy theorists might be thinking this is some sort of, you know, I don't know. I don't even know what they would call this. But these are bats. All right, let's go back to here. I was looking to see if we have any other storms anywhere, but nope. All right. Northern Minnesota update. It's pretty wild north of me. Yeah, mostly storms. They're just going to be wind. I don't expect much else than that. Mostly just wind. Oh. They have a little lowering, it looks like.
That's a pretty low area. Compared to the rest of the storm.
To go back a second here. Look at that right there. This is paused. It's like some. It looks like the cloud base. That's pretty low to the ground, though. I saw this over a few seconds here. Let's go back a little bit. You can kind of see it. What is that in the middle? We need to pause this.
You all are now family. You're all part of the Trackers Quackers.
It just kind of looks like a scuddy lowering there.
We greatly appreciate y'all. We're going to keep going for a little bit longer, as long as this storm still stays good. Anybody else seeing that lowering going on right there? I see a little bit of a lowering going on. I can't tell if that's a wall cloud or
something there in the middle. Can't really tell what it is.
You see that?
Right there, you can see it. think we're looking... I'm pretty sure they're looking at this storm. Let's check out velocities real quick. This velocities radar's broken. Let's go to high res. I mean, I don't think it's a tornado risk or anything right now, but just a little bit of a lowering there. I mean, it might just be the cloud base. Is this from the terminal radar site? What does the radar look like here at the same exact time? Might be like a non-precip area of rotation, maybe? It's possible. Right along the outflow boundary. This would be near the Chai Sago city area. It's west of there. I'm guessing that's what they were looking at. Interesting nonetheless. I don't think it's imminent, but it was just something to look at. Thank you, Sky, for the $2 super chat. I don't know what LP is in Michigan. But anywhere in Michigan, really just most likely gonna be a wind threat tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning. Chai Sago? Isn't it? It's not Chai Sago. Is it? I don't even know. That's what it looks like to me. Let's go back to them again. They still have a view of that.
Folsom Lake, Amory.
Going back a couple seconds again.
Anything now? It's gonna be up
See that
towards
right
St.
there.
Croix Falls.
Crazy lightning.
Very little.
Something there. I mean, there's a little lowering. I think it's just scud.
Yeah,
I don't think it's an actual like funnel cloud or anything like that.
At all in that, but it definitely was definitely suspicious looking.
Oh, Lower Peninsula.
A little lower.
Mostly a
It's
wind
not
threat.
Cone now.
Yeah, right there. It just kind of looks scuddy. It's not a really impressive looking storm on radar, for what it is worth.
Lightning show's incredible though, that's for sure.
Gotta emphasize the vowels in Minnesota. Okay. Mini.
New Richmond, Wisconsin.
Sodia.
Right now we're looking almost straight north.
Thank you, Michael, for the $2 super chat.
Towards St. Croix Falls-ish area.
Beautiful lightning. Yeah, they've had some pretty good shots of the lightning here. And if there's nothing really crazy when it comes to severe weather, they've had pretty good shots of the lightning. Nice little light show out there. What can I get for $5 at Five Guys? I've never had Five Guys in my life. Believe it or not. Might shock you, but I've never had it. The only thing I heard about it recently is that it's so expensive. Wow. Well, we have virtual rail fans. We have a whole dashboard of them across the Midwest. And we use these to look at weather and such. And this is one thing that we're looking at tonight. We got people coming off the Amtrak train over here in Quincy. Sheesh. Maybe one of those people is a max velocity viewer. Just never know. It's good, but I would rather have a sit down if I'm paying for that much. The only thing I know about them is that apparently they use peanut oil in their french fries. Which most fast food places did away with that. So apparently their french fries are still good. Yes. Alright. Just trying to get its act together. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards this just being mostly a wind threat overnight. I don't even know if it's going to be that significant, to be honest. I don't know. Doesn't look too crazy right now. It was a very conditional risk, and I think the problem is going to be from here. I mentioned this before, but this convective setup that we had back down here in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois, I think it's going to really hurt the threat of severe weather early tomorrow morning in southern Illinois or southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. So I don't know if we're really going to have anything there. I'm starting to lean towards this threat being more up in like this area here for the next few hours. That's where I'm leaning towards this threat being. And then maybe in northwestern Michigan. This is our only warning in this general area, and it's just for quarter size hail now. And nothing's really gotten organized quite yet. Which again, it's supposed to get organized around 11. The worst storms so far today have actually been in South Dakota. And even then, these are mostly just wind and hail events. Do you think tomorrow will be an enhanced risk? It's going to depend on what happens tonight. I think there will be for probably hail. I'm going to see what they put for wording on it. I mean, I don't think the tornado risk would be upgraded tomorrow. Maybe a small corridor. And this is tomorrow's risk right now. Like, I would not be surprised if we had a small, like, enhanced for hail or something, like maybe in here. Maybe wind, too. Let me see what they said on here. I mean, this is what they said. How the MCS activity evolves later today into tonight will strongly modulate tomorrow's potential risk. Despite the uncertainty, the general trend is for an expansion of the level 1 and 2 marginal and slight risks. But obviously an enhanced risk is possible with that type of wording. But it depends on what happens really tonight. I think really tomorrow is mostly wind and hail. I think we'll be live tomorrow. I just think tomorrow's going to be more of just wind and hail. I don't think there'll be that many tornadoes. Maybe like a couple. Just, I don't think it'd be like an outbreak or anything like that. Which again, we go live a lot for non-outbreak events. Friendly reminder, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. It is completely free to do. Hit the red button and subscribe. We'll keep posted with the latest. We are currently a whopping 12 subscribers from 293, 500. We're almost up to 300,000, which is pretty crazy. The questionable for the $10 super chat. Any risk for northwestern Indiana? The only thing that's happening there is just wind, like gusty winds. There's nothing severe expected here. Just a couple of, you know, little storms, little baby storms. That's about it. I make some coffee? No. I don't really drink coffee. I had a Wawa refresher drink today. It was really good. Really good. I've never had one before. It was like a dragon fruit drink. Actually really good. My storm anxiety is the worst. I wouldn't be too stressed about tonight, honestly. I don't even know. I mean, like, honestly, I wouldn't have probably gone live if it was just gonna be like this. I kind of thought it might get going a bit quicker. So nothing's really happened yet. Storm relative velocities on all these radar sites haven't been working today either. Like, if there was to be a tornado at any point in the next, like, hour, I really think this would be the storm to do it. That one might do something. Just, I mean, I'm pretty sure PA Storm Tracker is bottom right. I think they're looking at this one. They skedaddle for the 199. What about Kalamazoo? Mostly just a wind threat. And that'll be, like, early tomorrow morning. Yeah, I mean, if the HRRR model is correct, nothing's gonna happen in southern Wisconsin. But you could go back 4 hours on one of their other, you know, runs, and it would be hitting them. So can't really base it off one model. Again, tonight is a lot of nowcasting. Oh, this is from Formula Pony. This is a fan like art. Actually, kind of pretty cool. Appreciate you making that. That's pretty cool. Big earthquake, Washington. There was an earthquake? I don't see any. My little velocity. It's funny. By the way, just a quick heads up while we don't really have anything to talk about right now. Just want to let you know that our new Drunknado merch is out on shopmaxvelocity.net. High demand products, very awesome t-shirts. Here's what the design looks like. Again, this is a Drunknado that you can pick up on shopmaxvelocity.net. You got the wine tumbler and pint glass that are also new to the shop. You got Max Hydration merch. You got all the sort of logo merch. You got a magnet, all that sort of stuff you can pick up on shopmaxvelocity.net. And again, that link's in the description. It's also going to be posted in the chat. It's one way to support the channel. And appreciate anybody picking up stuff on shopmaxvelocity.net. The highest demand product over the last several months has been the Drunknado t-shirts. So definitely recommend one of those. I have one. I don't know where it is either. I've lost everything ever since setting up this computer. Oh, it's right here. Guess what? It's laying on my... on the ground. Go figure. My room is such a mess. This is what it looks like. Sheesh, it's very comfortable. High quality shirts. ShopMaxVelocity.net. I think Minneapolis is probably fine at this point. I just don't see much happening there. Got my NATO shirt today. It's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I've had a lot of people send me photos of them in it. It's awesome. Pretty cool stuff. I don't even know who made up the drunk NATO thing to begin with. I don't know if it was me or somebody else. I can't remember. Like, it was just kind of like a meme after one tornado went crazy. Which, if you don't know what a drunk NATO is, it's what a drunk NATO is. Top right of your screen. There's your explanation, and that's what it looks like. It's a quiet night. Put on the Culver shirt. I'm not putting on the Culver shirt. We're not going to make tonight into an outbreak. I'm just worried this might lead to a marginal Maryland situation all over again. I don't know. I mean, this doesn't look anything like that, at least for Maryland. I mean, I'll show you the future radar for the next couple of days. Let's go regional to the Ohio Valley. Drunk NATO is how you drink your water? What? Thank you, Hampton, for the $9.99. How's Tennessee looking on Wednesday? Also, do you ever watch Reed Timmer's live streams? I'm in Reed Timmer's chat quite often when I'm not streaming. But yeah, I do watch it whenever I'm out streaming. I was about to talk about Wednesday. So this is what it looks like tomorrow. So again, we'll have a weakening line of storms tomorrow afternoon, or it might even stay as intense as it is, in the morning across parts of Illinois, Indiana, and as well as Ohio. And then eventually we're going to probably start to see some storm development across both northern Illinois, much of Iowa, and western Illinois as well, with mostly hail and wind. We'll be live, I think, for this as well. But again, I don't know if tomorrow's even going to be that bad either. I think it's just going to be a lot of wind and hail again. I don't really see much of a tornado risk out of this either. The hodographs do not look good at all for tomorrow's tornado risk. I mean, they look horrendous. So I don't think tomorrow is much of a tornado risk, unless something changes a lot over the next 12 hours. Eventually into late Tuesday night, these storms come cluster together. Mostly wind and just lots of rain. By Wednesday morning, there could be another mesoscale convective system, which again, this type of activity will become very common over the next few months. We're going to see a lot of these, especially in the Midwest. So just buckle your seatbelts, make sure that you're ready for wind. Once we go into Wednesday afternoon, we'll probably see some sort of development here, anywhere from Pennsylvania back into, you know, Kentucky and even Tennessee, but it's going to depend on what happens in the morning. And overall, this will be mostly just wind and some hail and maybe an isolated tornado somewhere. Back over in the East Coast, let me put on the tornado parameter values here. This will give you more of an idea of where there could be a tornado risk on Wednesday. They use CERN, by the way, for upgrading to a maximum velocity member. This is what we're looking at Wednesday afternoon. So again, really not much of a corridor. We mentioned it in this morning's forecast. It looked like maybe Kentucky could get a localized tornado risk. At least for now, it doesn't look like that's really that much of a possibility, but it has a lot more to do with what happens Wednesday morning in terms of convection. Let's go to the hodographs real quick. Check that out. Yeah, I don't know. These photographs look ugly too. Really not a whole lot of spin in the atmosphere. I mean, we got a little bit up here in like Pennsylvania. Don't really have any in Kentucky at all. There's like a little bit, but really not anything. I don't know. I mean, Wednesday doesn't look that bad in my opinion. What's a hodograph? Hodograph just shows you the wind and the wind direction as we go throughout the atmosphere. So from the surface all the way up, it gives you a good idea of how the wind is spinning, like turning. So this would be a pretty favorable hodograph, and we have something more like this that kind of turns. Let me just show you. I suck at drawing. I'll just show you what a good hodograph looks like. I'm going to use the 18Z run in Minnesota today. This is probably a pretty good example. So this stuff down here in southwest Minnesota, when we have all this turning like this, these are fairly favorable hodographs. They're not the cleanest looking, but they have a lot of spin. So these types of hodographs down here are pretty favorable for tornadoes. All right, so that's pretty good. What isn't good is something that's turning like back this way or something like that. That shows backing. When we have a backing profile, the winds are, instead of going counterclockwise, they're going clockwise. That is not a really favorable atmosphere here in like northern Minnesota. So when we have this sort of like kind of backhand feature on the hodographs, that just means we're not really gonna, I mean, that's more of just a, you know, it's indicative of descent, which means that we're not really going to see anything. It's mostly more of a stable atmosphere, and then anything like this is going to be more indicative of an unstable atmosphere. In addition to that, there is a veering profile, which indicates turning in the atmosphere, indicates ascent, which eventually leads to thunderstorms. So, yeah. Apparently the dew points in western Iowa this morning were in the mid-80s. Was anybody in western Iowa to verify that? Dew points in the mid-80s? That means the heat index was approximately 125, if that's true. I hear a train. Okay. Thank you, Cyclonic, for the $5 super chat. It's interesting when everybody in 2024 thinks the severe weather day is over, and then it turns, yeah. I mean, nighttime events like this one, they could go big, but again, I don't know. It doesn't look too bad right now. It looks pretty disorganized. Now, honestly, in like an hour, I'll give this like an hour, and it'll probably become organized. But there's really not anything happening right now. At the bare minimum, though, today's live stream has at least been an update on what's going to happen. That's at least at the bare minimum what we're talking about. Midnight snack time? I kind of want another Wawa refresher, honestly. I should take my shirt off? No. It's an interesting comment. I'm not putting on my Culver shirt, guys. I'm not doing it. We're not trying to jinx tonight's severe weather event. I love Wawa. I've become a lover of Wawa recently. The cooking stream should be deep frying cheese curds. It actually could be. We could do that. If we get, I don't know, if we get like 100 members over the next, like, I don't know, week or so, we'll do a cooking stream in July. That's the goal. Hey, Daniel, for the $10 super chat. Oops, I just clicked out of the wrong thing. I'm from the Fontana, Wisconsin area. My daughter is in Janesville PD. I was watching when she was working on Saturday. She said damage was overwhelming. Yeah, that tornado was rated an EF2, so there was definitely a lot of damage, and there's a lot of trees there, which makes it worse. Like, you know, when you have a tornado ripping across an area with lots of trees, it's gonna also look a lot worse in that way too. So I can only imagine. I mean, I wasn't obviously there. I've seen videos of it, and I mean, luckily it wasn't stronger. I honestly, when we watched it, it looked way worse. But the other thing that's keep in mind in Wisconsin is that there are a lot of trees. So Max has kids. I don't have kids. No. What? Hey, Connor, for the $20 super chat. Appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, I'll be up until 4 no matter what. I'm pretty sure tonight. We might not be live until 4, but I'll at least be up until 4. And if something happens, we can always activate an emergency live stream. But right now, it's just looking like ordinary thunderstorms. Until this actually organizes into a line, I don't think it's going to do much. Yeah, I haven't had a girlfriend in my life, so why do you think I have kids? Like, what? I want a bird. That's what I want. I want a bird. I also want a cat, even though I'm allergic. It's the member count for the gritty. I mean, I'll do a gritty if we get like 10 more members. I don't know how long we're gonna be live. I'm just kind of here right now. I'm not playing Fortnite. I haven't played Fortnite in like 6 decades. You thought I was married? Since when do you think I was married? Thank you, Chris, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. Ever think the Panthers would win a Stanley Cup? I don't watch hockey, so I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. I mean, I kind of wanted the Oilers to win, just for the memes, but they didn't. Married to Mother Nature? Okay, that's interesting. I'm south of Green Bay. Can I go to bed? I mean, you can go to bed. Just make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts. I would say that for anybody right now. If you're in Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, there's no reason really for you to be watching this live stream. I would just make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Because we don't have anything that looks imminent right now for any sort of risk. We could see something get going, maybe a bit later, but like right now it just looks like some lightning, gusty winds, lots of rain, possibly flooding coming in some of these areas, hail for the most significant storms, but nothing that's organized yet. So thank you, Tammy, for becoming a member. Thank you, Chris, for the $5 super chat. Yes, I've seen a lot of photos. I don't know if I've seen yours, but I probably have. I've seen a lot of photos that have been tagged in. You need a gritty? I'll do a gritty if we get 8 more members. If you want to become a member, it's the join button down below or the link at the top of the description. You're telling me that I didn't meet you and your wife last week in the Yellowknife in Northwestern Territories? I don't even know where that is. I've only been recognized, I think, 7 or 8 times now, and none of them have been anywhere outside of Florida at this point. So, hey, Chris, for the 5 gift to members, I appreciate it. Got a membership. Make sure to thank Chris. Appreciate the generosity. I was recognized at Disney World. It was actually pretty funny. I was on vacation a few weeks ago in Disney World, and I was at the hotel, and all of a sudden, like, I was at a hotel. I was just eating there. We weren't staying there. It was an on-site hotel. All of a sudden, this kid runs up to me and they're like, "Are you that guy from YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we ended up getting a photo. But yeah, it was pretty funny. I think the kid was like probably like 10 or 12 years old or something. Like, they weren't even that old. Their mother must have noticed me too, because she was there too. It's pretty interesting. That was the most recent time I've gotten recognized. Pretty interesting. Any chance for tornadoes in St. Louis tomorrow? It is a very low risk. I look like Nick A30. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. Come to East Idaho? What is there to do in Idaho? All I know is that there are potatoes up there. That's it. Are you the guy that does the gritty? That'd be pretty funny. We need 3 more members for a gritty, by the way. It's kind of out of nowhere, though. I mean, I wasn't expecting to get recognized. That one was kind of out of nowhere. Nothing. I live in Eastern Washington. I can't imagine living in Washington with how much rain they have. Favorite Star Wars character? I don't even know what happens in Star Wars movies. I watch Star Wars movies like all the time. I don't understand any of it, but I don't understand the characters, but like I love watching them, so yeah, kind of a weird little thing. Hey, sailing the sky for the 1999. Appreciate that. I don't think you can gift members on mobile. I think it's only on computer. Thank you, Bree, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you, Notes, for becoming a moderate Velocity member. Only need 1 more member for a gritty. Cannot wait. Well, I think we're up to like 12 gritties now all time. Thank you, Alpha, for the 199. How many more members for the Culver shirt? I'm not doing a goal for the Culver shirt out of all things. You can gift on mobile? Oh, you can? It would be the money button. I think you're... I don't know. I've never seen that. Thank you, Bryce, Crystal, and Jackson for all becoming members. Yay, it's a gritty. Yes! At least I can actually get off my feet. Like, at least like walking around. Thank you, Blind, also for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. Any of these supercells? Not really. I mean, this is all expected to become more of a, cluster and eventually turn into a mesoscale convective system, but I'm losing a lot of confidence on this actually becoming any sort of derecho or anything like that. It looks to be more of just a scattered wind risk across northern Wisconsin and western Michigan. Okay. Time to gritty. Yippee. You have to zoom out for the gritty, my man? I can't really zoom out much further than I'm already zoomed out. I only change the angle. I mean, whenever Connor Croft comes to Florida, we're doing a full-blown gritty live stream. We're gonna gritty for 2 hours. I'm gonna teach him. No, not really. That'd be pretty funny though. We're gonna be doing, me and Connor are gonna be doing a members only golf stream, I think, when he's down here, which will be absolutely insane. So that'll be lit. All right. Let's get some gritty emojis in the chat. Can't wait. I feel like I'm doing this every day now. I feel like every stream we do a gritty. What a gritty. No, we gotta start doing other dance moves. We can't just do the gritty. We gotta start expanding our taste a little bit on some of these dance moves. What's next? What'll be our next dance move that we have to do? Gritty emergency. The stream the other day that we had was named the Gritty Emergency, but we didn't have anything happen on that stream. The floss? I mean, the floss isn't that hard. Floss is like the easiest thing to do. I'm not doing the sprinkler. What's another Fortnite dance? What's the one that you do like that weird little thing, like you go top to bottom? You know what I mean? I don't know what that dance is. That like weird one. I don't know what that one's called, but like that one I kind of want to do. I don't think I can do it. That's what these live streams turn into at the end when we have nothing that's happening. Am I good at golf? I mean, I think I'm better than Connor. I don't know how good Connor is, but like we'll probably be competing. Because I actually think that me and Connor are probably on a pretty similar level. I might be a little bit better than him, but Macarena? That's easy though. The hokey pokey, no. Do I play any sports? I haven't played a sport in quite a while. Thank you, by the way, Elsley for picking up a magnet on shopmaxvelocity.net. Also, thank you, Sarah, for picking up a Drunknado t-shirt on shopmaxvelocity.net and a $10 donation. I do appreciate it. We have a new warning south of Chief Lake for some quarter-sized tail. No wind threat on that right now. Thank you, Mike, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. As a reminder, if you want any Drunknado merch, anything like that, you can go to our store, shopmaxvelocity.net. Highly recommend you picking up a Drunknado shirt. Very high quality. Merch links are in the chat. It's also in the description. If you want to become a member, the join button is down below. Are you and Connor? No, me and Connor are going to actually golf. We're not doing mini golf. We're actually going to golf. That would be an actual golf stream. Like, we are low-key going to do... I'm not guaranteeing it yet, as I said, but it's likely that we're going to be doing a members-only stream. Gangnam Style? Be funny. Have a good night, Marissa. Appreciate the generosity, by the way. New storm in Illinois. I don't think there's really anything happening here. Little storm. I don't really think these are going to do anything, honestly. I'm going to give it a scan and just see what happens here in Illinois. But I think this is just going to be more of that, you know, just some gusty winds and small hail and that sort of jazz. Do the Drunknado dance. It's not a thing. I see the latest HRRR. The 03 run. Let's check it out. Whoa, you talking about this? The 03 run? This doesn't look that crazy. You said wow. I don't see any wow here. I just see what we've been kind of talking about this entire time. See a mini hook? I mean, I just think it's another updraft. I don't think it's an actual... It's just another storm that's developing there. It's just another updraft. Matt, is this what you were talking about? Are you talking about the 03 run? Oh, it's something else. Will we have a video for the Outlook tomorrow morning? Yes. As long as we don't have an emergency live stream overnight, we will. Because I'll make a video at like 2 a.m. tonight. That's what I've been doing recently. Most of our videos have been recorded like late in the late at night, like as in like 2 or 3 a.m. That way we can upload a video and then go live later in the day if needed. I never saw Matt respond. They dropped the severe thunderstorm watch for South Wisconsin. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. This doesn't look that concerning, but I'm just trying to see what the velocities show. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything with that activity, really. Got storms going, just, I think a lot of this will be wind. Does not look too concerning for the rest of the night. Mostly wind, especially across northern and eastern Wisconsin and western parts of Michigan. Haley, just make sure your phone's charged up. You know, have that phone handy, maybe even a couple devices, that way you get alerts. But if you need a weather radio, I do recommend Midland Radios. You can get 10% off with the link down below in the description, and with that code you can get 10% off with that link as well. All right, well, we're gonna end the stream there. I mean, there's really not much happening right now. If we have to, we'll activate an emergency live stream, but right now it just looks pretty, you know, I mean, there's a lot of storms now, but it just, nothing's organized yet. And I don't want to be live this entire time and nothing happened. So if something gets going, we'll go back live again. But if not, you know, make sure that you just have multiple ways to receive alerts, have a tornado action plan in place, all that sort of jazz. We've been hanging out for like 2 hours. We've barely been talking about weather. So we've talked about weather very minimally in this stream. So, but hopefully you guys at least enjoy the stream. Hopefully this eases your fears a little bit tonight, because again, I just don't see this being super significant when it comes to tornadoes. I think it should be mostly wind, some hail, maybe a tornado or two, but it just does not look as significant as advertised. So I wouldn't be too concerned. All right, just make sure that you're staying weather aware, have multiple ways to receive alerts, and you'll be good. All right. Thank you, Dream, by the way, for becoming a member, and welcome to the Velocities. As a reminder, before you leave, if you want to become a member, the join button's down below. Make sure to check out shopmaxvelocity.net if you want any sort of comfortable merchandise or any sort of, you know, Drunkenado merch or Max Hydration merch or Max logo merch. All that stuff's on the store. We will have a Flying Trampolines t-shirt, more than likely, in the next couple of weeks, so be on the lookout for that. By the way, I just want to throw this out there. We're a little over a week from this, but July 3rd and 4th, I will probably not have any videos or live streams. I'm planning on going away to watch fireworks. And so that's kind of like a once in a lifetime sort of event that I'll be going to. So I don't think I'll be here on those 2 days, but I don't think, at least right now, it doesn't look like that 2-day time frame looks that bad. I mean, we're still very far out, but yeah. Aside from that, do appreciate you guys all tuning in. Make sure to join our Discord, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. All the links in the description down below. Again, if needed, we will have an emergency live stream, but as you guys know, we have over 293,000 subscribers, many of which have notifications on. So if there's something that's not significant, we are not going to activate the live stream. But if we need to, we will. You should get notified, but who knows? All right. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Have a great, safe rest of your night. And we'll see you guys all again in the next one. Tomorrow should be a bit more interesting than today's live stream in terms of severe weather as well. Across Iowa, if we do go live, it should at least be a bit more interesting, because we might actually have some Storm Chaser feeds that look interesting. Right now, there's nothing really happening. So, but yeah, we'll see you guys all.